Hey everybody, welcome back to HitPoint, an anime news show, a JRPG news show, a niche news show, a show where Baku and I will be talking about everything and everything that catches our interest and or ire. And today that's mostly going to be the Nintendo Switch 2 launch. We'll be previewing a lot of trailers, talking about some crazy stuff going on with this launch that, well, we've already talked about a little bit in the past, but now it's really coming to bite us in the butt, and it's going to be awesome. I hope that you guys stick around, because I think what we're going to do is actually going to front load the show with all of the positivity and all of the hype that we feel still towards this system before we address the 46% elephant in the room. Baku, how are you doing today?
I am doing fantastic, all things considered. It's been a pretty rough ride, I think, for many of us in the past week around the world.
Yeah.
But all things considered, I am in good spirit. I finished Metaphor recently, and then
Yes.
I finished what is it called? The fourth game in the To the Moon series, which I don't know if you've ever
Oh,
played.
was this
Have you
the
ever?
the beach episode, right?
Yeah, the beach episode, I finished it. So I thought it was a spin-off game, but it's
Hmm.
not. It's actually like a proper fourth game. And there's like a
Oh,
fifth game coming. And apparently the fifth game is supposed to be an RPG.
huh?
Yeah, apparently. So I'm just like, okay. Now, if you thought that was weird, what I had learned, which I
Hmm.
didn't know before, is that the company that made To the Moon, they're called Freebird Games. Freebird
Yeah.
Games previously released another game called Quintessence, and it was like a fantasy RPG. And you
Okay.
can no longer download that game anywhere. And I had used the Internet Archive to find it,
Oh,
and it's not on Steam. And the reason I didn't know is because their first game on Steam is just To the Moon.
yeah.
But the only reason why I came to know about this is because in the beach episode, the characters from Quintessence that have like huge roles in there. And I'm like, who the heck are these people? Like,
Yeah.
I do not recognize any of these characters. Like, I went back, I read the synopsis of all the,
Uh-huh.
previous three games. I have not seen these characters. And
Yeah.
I found out that they have Quintessence. So I'm like, okay, so it's not like they've never made an RPG before. The first game was an
Yeah. Yeah.
RPG. So that was wild to learn about. So I'm excited to see what they will do for the last RPG, which they I
Why
don't
is
think
it?
they have announced, but when you finish the fourth game at the very end, it talks about like story to be continued in like the To the Moon RPG. And I was like, are you kidding me? That's how you're gonna announce your last game?
Okay. Well,
All
that's
right.
interesting. Do you any idea why Quintessence is not available currently on
I think
Steam
it's
or?
just I don't know. I can only assume that it's because it's not very polished compared to
Okay.
their more recent work. And maybe they want to go back and,
Like
redo it at some
remaster it or
point. But
something? Sure.
I feel like they have the ambition, because why else would they want to bring in all these characters, right? Like,
Yeah.
and with like new models and everything, because I downloaded Quintessence. I found it through the Internet Archive. I downloaded it. I started it up. The models are definitely more rudimentary than their modern counterpart.
Hmm.
Especially the models inside the beach episode for those same characters look significantly better. So I'm just like, well, if you're gonna take the time to make all these models,
Yeah, you may as
maybe
well. May as well
they
put them to
have
use.
some ambition to do like a definitive edition of Quintessence, right? I don't
Yeah,
know.
could be.
I don't know. Yeah, we'll
Well,
see. But
yeah.
yeah, but I did that. And I also started a new game because I just finished. Like I said, I finished the fourth To the Moon game. The new game that I just started is called what is it? The Urban Myth Dissolution Center, which we looked at on HitPoint previously. That game is superb. The pixel
What
art's incredible.
what is this
Yes.
game again? What is it? What's the premise?
The premise is you play this university student named Azami. She's able to see like, these kind of ghost like images. And so she was looking for help, and somehow she got conned into working for this center by the director.
Okay.
And I think through this she's like solving these like kind of um mysteries, but these mysteries are a little bit supernatural, but also like the solutions
Okay.
are pretty satisfactory. It's
So
not
is this
like, oh
also
well,
an
the spirit did
RPG,
it.
or is this like an adventure game also, or what
I
kind of
think
game?
it's an adventure.
Hmm,
No, no, it's more like a. It's more like a, like it's more like a point and click kind of like mystery thing.
gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay. Well,
yeah,
cool.
but
And
it's
how's that?
really good.
Pretty good so far?
No, the writing's great. The art's great. The music, everything is fantastic.
Awesome.
It's on the easier side so far. As far as like the gameplay mystery is concerned, but I'm just here to witness the story. So it's pretty good for me. So how about you,
Awesome.
sir? How you doing?
Well, I'm doing all right. I think that I might actually return to streaming this weekend. Or not this weekend, this
Oh,
week. This week.
oh,
This weekend
okay.
is a little shorter on time than that.
Oh,
Yeah,
Derek
Turbo is
returns.
Turbo is doing a lot better, and it's occurred to us that like now at this point, taking care of him is not the onerous responsibility that it was when he was first starting his recovery journey, and so I think that it's entirely likely that I'll finally be back to playing some
Hey,
Reverie
congratulations,
soon.
man. But also, congratulations to
To
a
Turbo.
good recovery. Yeah,
I know.
yeah.
I'm super excited about that. And yesterday I put out a much shorter video than today's is going to be about, talking mostly about a lot of the same stuff, but man, it's blown up a little bit. And I can tell because it's brought in a lot of new people, and a lot of those people are absolute jerks. And that's just sort of the nature of the beast when videos blow up in general and bring in new people. It's like, oh yeah, people are going to show up and they're just going to be jerks for a bit. But that's kind of a good sign, honestly, that I'm reaching new people, and most people are being very kind, I think, and being very, very good people. So yeah, hopefully we won't run into any of that sort of stuff here. But yeah, we will eventually talk about some of the negativity surrounding Switch 2. But before we do, let's dive into some upcoming releases.
Yes. All right. Let's talk about some upcoming releases. And obviously, these are not Switch 2 related because these are games that are coming out this week, starting with All in Abyss, Judge the Fake. Actually, Derek, do you want to take this one?
Judge the Fake, sure.
Judge the Fake, yeah.
Yeah, Judge the Fake is a it's a poker battle mystery adventure RPG called All in Abyss, Judge the Fake. It's from Acquire. And it's from Acquire and WSS Playground and Alliance Arts, and it's coming out this week. And we have a trailer for All in Abyss as well. I think we checked out a trailer for it much earlier. Much earlier.
The launch trailer.
Yes, in the year. And it didn't really show off any gameplay before. I wonder. Yeah, so it's not like a Baltaro sort of game, it doesn't seem. But hey, if you did get into Baltaro, here's another kind of poker RPG. I don't know. Maybe.
There's all kinds of cheating that you can do in here. That's the mystery. Can I get the watch together? Look at the app.
The watch together. Oh, you don't have it? Oh, I put it in the Discord. I did.
You did.
I sure did. Uh-huh. You might need to scroll up. Welcome to HitPoint, the most professional podcast on the internet.
No,
but
I have the YouTube
link. Well, maybe I'll show you. Maybe you get to check out this after a minute when I'm done sharing my screen. But yeah, I think that the trailer looks pretty dang cool so far. Honestly, as far as like poker games go, like the character art's nice. I don't really claim to get this.
Jonathan asked if my mic is off. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine, and I can see the monitor bouncing on the screen. So
hello, Jonathan. Can you hear
don't
me?
do that. Don't do that. That's oh jeez. Anyways, Yeah, so this game is coming out on the 9th on PlayStation 5, the Switch, and PC via Steam. Here's that link there,
Hmm.
bud.
Okay. Oh, thanks for the watch together link.
You bet.
I'm
So,
gonna look at that.
also, there is already currently a demo available for this game. It's available right now on Steam, so go check that out. But it's also coming to PS5 and Switch. Yeah, go check that out if you are looking for another game to kind of scratch that poker RPG fighter mix. Just- it's just a odd combination of words in an order I did not expect.
You know what? I'm starting to think that they're running out of ideas, so they just have like a like a board, and then they just like spin the wheel, and they just throw a dart and see where it lands, and like this
Well,
is the game that we're gonna make.
I mean, I guess it worked when they did it with chess. They're just like, oh, let's mix RPGs and chess. All of a sudden, strategy RPGs exist.
Mhm.
Now we throw in card games and gosh, I don't know what's next. Farkle,
Psst. I mean,
Pinochle.
they have rhythm strategy game, right?
They
We
do.
saw that, like real time strategy, but rhythmic real time
Yeah.
strategy. That's
Was that the Potapone?
Potapone.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I
So
you know. All right, the next game that's coming out this week is another rather interesting title from Kaizen Gameworks that is coming out this week called Promise Mascot Agency, which is described as an open world narrative adventure mascot management simulator. Yeah, you thought yours was the mouthful.
I know, I know.
Let's take a look at this one too.
Heck yeah, let's check it out. Yeah, so in this game, you play as an ex-Yakuza member trying to revive a town by hiring and using strange mascots. By the way, this takes place in the what era was it of Japan? The
I don't
oh, it's like the
Showa.
yeah, Showa. That's the one. The Showa period. So that's like the
It's like
what,
the
20s?
70s. No,
Sev-
it's like the 70s.
It's the 70s? Okay. Well, I guess that
Like
explains the weird looking
post-war.
trucks.
Yeah. Basically post-war, like right before. I think the 80s is when Heisei starts, or the 90s.
Okay.
So it's like
Okay.
maybe like 50 to 80 probably. It's
All
just
right.
after World War II and all the way up to like the
Do you suppose that like in Japan they refer to each other by people born in different eras the way we do for like generations, like Zennials, like like instead of saying okay boomer, they say okay Showa.
Wow. You know, I think a lot of Japanese people look at the Showa era very fondly.
I think you're probably
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, I think they it's kind of like post-war, it's like, reconstruction, it's kind of like
It's
on their way
yeah,
to
it's
yeah.
better to be on like the rise than the fall of a nation. That's for sure. Like to be on the upswing feels pretty dang good, I bet.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah,
that
by
I
the
would
way,
know.
but Jonathan, thank you so much for letting us know. My mic and my entire sound setup has been like kind of acting weird. I don't know what is going on. Like when I was streaming the other day, everyone's like, "Yo, your mic's really low," and I'm like, "I haven't changed anything with my setup at all. Like I have a
Yeah.
hardware like preamp. I haven't changed any of the dials. No one's come into the room and messed with my equipments.
Have you
I don't
checked for
have kids.
gremlins?
Maybe I should do some gremlin hunting. That's what I
Mm-hmm.
should do. Yeah,
I
but
I
it's not
agree.
you, it's me. Like my
Just
stream has told me that something's wrong with my mic. So maybe I'll do some troubleshooting later with Derek to see if I have some issues on my end I still need to fix with this. But anyhow, thanks for letting us know. Anyways, back to the Promise Mascot Agency. This is coming out on the 10th on PS5, Xbox Series, Switch, and PC via Steam. The demo is out right now. I am excited for this game because I like wacky games like these,
oh,
and
I know you do. You got a soft spot for him. Like I mean, it's like a it's not quite wacky like a Yakuza title, but
Mhm.
almost strikes a similar chord. It seems
Yeah.
like I could see this being inspired by a side quest from Yakuza.
Yes, I can totally see that. Except it's like, why don't we make this the entire game? Yeah, I think they're supposed to fight like the mayor of like their town or
Of course,
something.
why
But
wouldn't you?
yeah, why wouldn't you? Yeah, we all hate the mayor. Um, so let's check that out. Again, that was Promise Mascot Agency coming out on the 10th. And with that, let's
And
move
with
on
that,
over to new game announcements, like brand new stuff now.
man, and believe it or not, this one I found out about because I get spammed constantly by everybody who's like got a thing that they're wanting to show off. But this one actually caught my eye because it's a name that I'm familiar with. It's Oceanhorn. You
Mhm.
guys know about Oceanhorn, right? It's a chain, a franchise at this
Yes.
point. It's an indie RPG, indie action adventure title that tends to lean kind of Zelda-esque, and it's been notable not because it's been doing a lot of like Link to the Past sort of Zelda style RPGs that you would expect from an indie developer, but it's been kind of mocking or not mocking. It's been affecting the kind of aesthetics of the 3D Zeldas. So like
Mm.
one of the first was like very much inspired by, and it showed by like Wind Waker.
Oh,
But this one is different. So yeah,
I
so
wouldn't have guessed from seeing the trailer. Oh
I
my
know
God.
because if you're
Like, what?
familiar with Oceanhorn and you see this, you're both going to be like, "Huh, well that's kind of weird that they chose to do this," but then you'll
Yeah.
also say, "Oh, that's cool though." So,
Yeah.
yeah, so this comes from publisher FDG Entertainment and developer Corn Fox and Bros. They've announced a new pixel art dungeon crawler game called Oceanhorn Chronos Dungeon that is set 200 years after the events of their previous game, Oceanhorn 2, Knights of the Lost Realm. Let's check this out together.
Yeah. Oh wow, you could have fooled me. Like if you told me, you know.
Yeah, this is not their bread and butter kind of game.
Yeah.
In fact, this you might know, some people might know that this is not exactly a new game. It was
Mhm.
previously released on the Apple Arcade, much like Fantasian.
Oh, okay. So
And
this is like the gold. That's what the gold edition is about, huh?
yes, so also much like Fantasian, it is now being released on consoles that have players. So
Uh,
for the for the first time, a lot of people are going to be able to experience this game, and that's really exciting. Uh,
yeah, games that came on Apple Arcade may as well have not come out at all. I'm sorry. Like
I tried.
it's just-
It, I honestly, I gave it a shot. I played Fantasian on it, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. I tried to tell people to go try it out, and now everybody gets to
did.
play it, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, this is a really fun game." Great.
You did.
I try to tell you.
Absolutely. I remember you've told me multiple times, and I'm like, yeah, I'll take a look, and then like I never did.
I know. Even though you could have played it for free as long as you
There
had
you
like
go,
an
Golden
Apple TV
Edition.
or something. But anyways, it's fine. I'm not bitter. No.
Yeah.
Anyways, so
It-
this
it's
game.
like Golden Edition at the very end. That's why I was wondering if that's what that was
Oh,
about.
yeah, I think it is. The golden edition means
Golden Edition.
it means that there's people who actually own the system. So yeah, it's gonna feature up to 4-player couch co-op, which is pretty
Mm,
sick. It's
that
coming
sounds
out
fun.
Q2 2025 for PC via Steam, as well as iOS and Android. I mean, I think it was probably already kind of on iOS, but now the Gold
Yeah.
Edition is also going to be
Ooh.
on iOS. So
You know what would really make? Hey, listen, Oceanhorn guys, if you're watching this right now, just do it on the Switch too. Like I think, or on the Switch, because I think if you're gonna do local co-op,
that's a good point,
Switch, yeah, that's a great and for
because we all
reasons that will
know
make sense.
only Switch players have 3 friends.
No, for reasons that will make sense later on, once we talk about
Oh,
like the Switch
okay.
2 functionalities, like I think it's good for a game like this. But we'll talk about that later.
Sure.
And by later, I mean like
Right now.
after we talk about right now. No, let's talk about all the games first, and then
Okay.
we'll go into it. But speaking of Switch 2, here are a couple of games announcements that happened during the Switch 2 Nintendo Direct. We're not going to talk about all of them because there were a lot. We're definitely going to talk about Madden. Oh man, I'm excited for
Dude,
Madden.
actually, I really want to talk about Mario Party. Can I just say how excited I am to try to break blocks using a eye toy? I'm
Oh,
sorry.
yeah,
Sorry, we're being positive to start. Hey, let's hold off on that for a little bit.
Yeah, let's not be so positive. Also, no, I'm not at all excited about Madden. That was the two late April Fool jokes. Anyways, the first game that we are going to talk about is called the Dusk Bloods
Yes.
from Software. It is a new player versus environment multiplayer action title. Let's take a look.
Yeah. Man, dude, when I saw this, I think myself and everybody else, like my first thought was when I saw this, I was like, oh shit, that's Bloodborne.
Yeah, I think to a lot of people with disappointment, this is not Bloodborne 2.
Oh, it's not. I don't think anybody should be disappointed by it, because obviously Bloodborne is a Sony IP. I mean, it might not be obvious to some people, I guess. But it is a Sony IP, kind of like how Demon's Souls was a Sony IP exclusive.
A Sony IP that Sony would do nothing with.
Yeah. God, Sony, what even?
Frustrating.
Like
a couple $100 million in Concord. You couldn't put like 10 on a Bloodborne.
To humanity's very dust.
Just, I'm sorry, we were supposed to focus on the fun stuff right now.
Wait, we're focusing on the fun and positive Nintendo, but we can be negative about Sony in the meantime. we gotta ration our positivity here.
Yeah, that's right. I've only got so much left.
But for real, like, look at the everything about this screams Bloodborne. It's got that kind of. Oh man, what era is this? Not. It's like post.
So this whole trailer doesn't tell you much about what the game is really about and all that. And there's like a random girl wearing ao dai. And for those who don't know, that's the traditional Vietnamese like dress. That's not a kipao. But
and that's pretty steampunk there, or maybe diesel punk. I'm not sure which.
So they didn't do a great job talking about the game here.
No.
But they did have like a 3-part interview that Nintendo released with the director. I forgot the director's name. Miyazaki.
Is it? Yes, Miyazaki-san.
And that's where he did talk about some. So I guess I'll tell you all some stuff about it, which is there's no set time frame on this. Like all the different characters are being pulled from various different points in time.
Okay.
So it's kind of like a mashup of different things. It's very gothic Victorian.
Victorian.
Kind of
that's the one that I was kind of feeling at first. Was like that. I was thinking post-Victorian, but it's definitely got some like Jack the Ripper era vibes. Some, I mean, dinosaurs in it. That's just cool.
Really, characters are being pulled from different periods in time. So.
Yeah, and I dig it. So it's a little hard to place like mentally, like where should this be? When should this be? But they all seem pretty dang cool.
Yeah, whatever you say, the chances that it's gonna be right.
So yeah, it is called the Duskbloods, and
Duskbloods. Yeah, this coming out sometime in 2026, next year on the Switch 2. Yeah, it's a player versus environment.
Is that Master Splinter? No, that's a rat with wings or something.
That's a rat with wings. Don't know why.
Funny, that didn't look anything like a pigeon.
Yeah. Did we? Oh no, we're missing stuff in there.
What stuff?
Donkey Kong.
Oh, on the. Oh, okay. I got this. So yeah,
like, this list is a little short. I was like, Okay, there we go. Okay.
All right. Oh, did you add it in there? I got it.
No, okay.
I got it.
Anyway,
so that's cool. But so yeah, Bananza's up next. But dude, Duskbloods looks really cool. Now the thing is, they have also said that like, yeah, this is going to be kind of a primarily online kind of game, not a single player experience the way that you might have been hoping, the way I was definitely hoping.
Yep.
I was kind of thinking like, oh, this is to Elden Ring, like this is like a Bloodborne Elden Ring. That's kind of what I was hoping.
Like a Nintendo's Bloodborne.
Nintendo's Elden Ring.
Dustborn.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's what I was hoping, was that it was going to be kind of like that open worldy kind of, but Bloodborne-y.
Yeah.
But it isn't.
If only.
It's not quite, at least. It sounds like it's going to be mostly player versus environment. So
it's a live service game. It's going to be a live service game, isn't it?
Yeah. But Miyazaki did say that just because they are doing it this time, does not mean that they're like moving away from their bread and butter of like single player experiences. And as a way to prove that, they did also indicate that they are bringing Elden Ring to the Switch. I mean,
that's true. Yes, the Tarnished edition. Yeah,
and that's not necessarily in our list of announcements that we're talking about today. So may as well cover that here as well. So yeah, that's also going to be a thing. So
for anyone who's curious, like I skip all the ports, like all the ports. We're not talking about any of the ports. Like these are all new games, basically. Yeah.
Lazy Guy says Baroque era. I feel like I'm going through my Baroque era right now.
We're gonna talk about that.
So
anyways, so Donkey Kong.
Donkey Kong, yes. Let's talk about Donkey Kong. So Donkey Kong Bananza has been announced. It is a new Donkey Kong title for the Nintendo Switch. The first one, the first 3D one since the Nintendo 64.
It's crazy.
Which is pretty rad. Let's just check out this trailer because I've actually seen some like really good first impressions from this from people that have actually got to play it.
Kind of game. Like none of these 3D platformers are, but when I see a good one, I'm just like, well, first of all, I can get it for my nephews, so I know what to get them for their Christmas if
for
they
sure
have a Switch too. That's up to their parents, but
this gives me Banjo-Kazooie vibes straight off the bat. Maybe part of it was because it looked like he had some sort of like sidekick companion at one point in the trailer, but beyond that, just the open world, just kind of not open world, but like maybe it's open zone or something. I don't. But being able to just freely explore and find all kinds of hidden secrets. This could be like a return to the collectathon sort of genre that I know and love. Like, look at that little thing on his shoulder.
EK Kazooie.
Yeah, that's exactly that's Kazooie. It's Rock Kazooie. Yes, except I don't think he helps you fly, but he does help you drill apparently. And and I got to see. So a buddy of mine put out a video. He was actually picked for a raffle to be able to play this early at NYC, which was pretty wild because like you would think it was because he was a YouTuber with 1 million subs, but no, it's because he just randomly got access. But apparently it's really fun, and it's just like you can like just dig down anywhere and find a secret. Like it's not limited to like, oh, you can dig through this little area or whatever.
Yeah. And there's the 2D section back too.
Yep. Oh, minecart.
Fun. Yeah.
Oh, look at that. Look at that expressive, stupid, doofy face. If only it was voiced by Joe Rogan. Or not Joe Rogan. Seth Rogen. Other Rogan. Yeah. The better Rogan. That's right, I said it.
I'm inclined to agree with you.
Look at this, man. That is so cool. That looks ridiculously fun. And I love that it is bright and colorful and expressive. I feel like I don't know. I feel like lately I haven't seen too much of that in gaming, and it feels nice to see just bright and colorful and exploration and yeah.
I still stand.
What is that sound? Oh,
I still
Whoops.
stand by that. Yeah, that game should be fun first and foremost, and then we can talk
100%.
about polish later.
Yeah.
Like, and this Nintendo, if there's anything Nintendo first party game has done pretty well is they do just that. They make a game fun and then they worry about polish later. Now, you can argue about stuff, here and there, but I think overall, like, it's been consistently positive, right? So like just setting new bars all the time. So I'm happy to see that they're doing that with Donkey Kong. Unlike certain other major console maker that doesn't work on their first person IP, despite the fact that there are so many to choose from, Sony.
Yeah, they should totally focus a little bit more on, Legend of Dragoon. When's the last time they put out one of those?
A Legend of Dragoon would be nice.
It would be really nice.
Gravity Days or Gravity Rush would be nice.
Oh, yeah.
Bloodborne would be nice. There's
Oh,
so
yeah,
many.
Maybe another Demon Souls would be pretty sick. But, speaking of Nintendo,
yeah,
this game's coming out on the 17th of July, almost said August, of July. And surprise, it's just for the Nintendo Switch. Two. Yes. Nintendo Switch 2. Sorry, I'm going to need to get used to that. You know what?
The Super Nintendo Switch would have been great.
I feel like we needed an acronym. Nintendo Switch 2 is too many syllables. NS2. Yep.
NS2.
Yep, coming to NS2.
NS2. As opposed to PS.
It works. It works.
So you know what else is coming out from Nintendo?
No.
They are collaborating with Koei Tecmo again to release another Dynasty Warrior style game based in the Zelda universe called Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment.
Dude, can I say how glad I am that they showed like the Koei Tecmo thing like immediately and then started showing Zelda stuff?
Yeah.
I would have been so disappointed.
It would have been bad if they didn't. I'm glad they had like the self-awareness to do that. Yeah.
You want to check out the trailer?
Yeah, that's please. This game is actually going to feature
right here, KT, straight off the bat. I would have been so let down.
Just don't get your hopes up.
I mean, it's still a good game from what I've heard. But
Hyrule Warrior?
Yeah, I've heard good
Hyrule
things.
Warrior was fun. Yeah.
I've never played it, but yeah.
I played a little bit of it. It was actually fun. Yeah. It's not exactly like a Dynasty Warrior game. Like there's certain things that they do that makes more sense with like the Zelda mytho, if that makes sense, right? But
but
I appreciate that, they make meaningful changes to like tailor a model for the franchise rather than just trying to force like a round peg in the square hole or a square peg in the round hole, whichever.
Yeah.
I was gonna say this game leads into Tears of the Kingdom. So this is like a Tears of the Kingdom prequel.
Yeah,
of sorts.
Which is pretty cool because I still haven't played Tears of the Kingdom. So do I want to play this first or do I want to play Tears of the Kingdom first? I don't know.
That's a good question. I feel like this might be you might never play situation.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Unless you're like a pretty big Zelda fan.
I've done a pretty good job of not playing Tears of the Kingdom. Unfortunately, I would like to, but part of me.
You played Breath of the Wild.
I did. I enjoyed the heck out of Breath of the Wild. But Tears of the Kingdom, not yet.
I've heard great things from Tears of the Kingdom players, so I don't know if that's just the fans talking or is it like objectively really good. So
I mean, I've seen people play it. My friends have invited me over and they've played it, and I've like watched, and I haven't had a chance to play it myself, but I've seen it.
You into being a believer? Is that what's going on? Like they're like,
I mean,
Derek,
no, I don't think so. I don't think they cared if I believed because they were playing the game. I think they were just kind of into it. It's like, and I think that's an even better sell.
Yeah,
truly.
that is true.
Like,
so
if you come over to my house and I'd like hear you play this,
here, you play it for me. I have a friend who does that. She doesn't want to play the game. She just wants to watch someone play the game in front of her.
I understand that. Amy feel oh man. Amy used to watch me play games before I started my YouTube channel, and she was
Yeah.
like, I kind of miss watching you play like Fallout and stuff. I'm like, you could watch me on Twitch. She's like, it's not the same.
It's not. It's
I know.
not. Like that's
I know.
Well, do a couch stream. Just like she's watching you play, and then she'll just that could be fun.
It could be fun. I'd have to like move an entire. I'd have to figure out a whole rig. I think to make that work. But whatever, it'd be
I
fun.
think occasional couch stream would be fun.
Yeah.
She could be your like co-pilot, and just talk every now and then. And yeah. Anywho, if you are convinced of Hyrule Warrior Age of Imprisonment, this game will be coming out in the winter. This winter on the Switch too. So not sure if it's 2025 winter or 2026 winter, but this winter.
So far, these are 3 games we've covered for the Nintendo Switch 2 that are exclusives and brand new games. Just wanted to mention that because we're about to cover a HD remake, but one of the prevailing
Remaster.
comments. One of the prevailing comments in my last video was like, "These are nothing but HD remakes and ports of old games." I'm like, that's not true at all. But this one is true for, and that is Bravely Default Flying Fairy HD. It has been announced by Square Enix that they will be releasing it it says going to be releasing the HD remaster version of the 2012 RPG Bravely Default Flying Fairy. So let's check this out.
It originally came out 13 years ago, which is wow. Time just flies, man. Holy
Oh my
crap.
gosh, dude. Did I
This came out 13 years ago. Like what?
Baku, do you want to hear something that I pointed out during my RPG news the other day?
Oh no.
Because it's not something that I think we are planning to talk about today. But Final Fantasy IX is having its 25th anniversary this year. 25th. No, don't. That's not the part you're supposed to feel bad about yet. So that's in July. Square Enix is also having a anniversary stream for Nier, celebrating its 15 years.
They found new hope in your words.
And what I'm trying to point out here is that the release of Nier was closer to Final Fantasy IX's release than we are to the original release of Nier.
Jeez.
It's all that I can do.
And that made me feel old.
Yeah. That's it's only gonna get worse.
I know.
So I will say that I was pretty disappointed in this remaster as a launch title for Switch 2 from Square Enix. I was hoping that they would have a stronger showing for a brand new system, a system that has done really well. And I was hoping that they would push out something stronger than,
I was legitimately hoping for Final Fantasy IX Remake to be in this.
Yeah.
And I thought this might have been it for a second, and then I was like, nope, that's not it. For half a second, though, I was just like,
kind of weak.
no.
Now, do I think this is a great game that deserves
Sure.
an HD remaster? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of games on the 3DS needs to get the heck out of the 3DS.
Yeah. I mean, if it's any consolation, it is nice that Final Fantasy VII Remake Integrate is also coming to Switch 2, which is not on our list of games that we're talking about, but
yeah.
so it is nice
Only
that
because I'm
they
avoiding
are.
ports. Like, it's a port. What do you-
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a port.
Yeah, it's a
Not
port.
much to talk about.
I mean, it is a port for a launch title, like, and it is good that a new console be brought up to parity with other existing consoles, but it isn't exactly newsworthy either.
Yeah, but I also feel like that's a very low bar that we're setting
Give me the
for a brand new title, for a brand new system. It's a brand new system
Mhm.
that they're charging prices that would demand
No,
for a
no,
brand new
no,
system.
we're not. We don't talk about that yet. We're positive right now, Baku.
Oh, we're
Dang it,
positive right
you
now.
need to be. I am positive that you are about to go somewhere negative.
Well, I am. You know what I'm positive about? I am positively sure that this game is going to come out on June 5th, the same day that the Switch 2 is launched, and this game will be exclusive to the Switch 2, at least for now.
That is true.
Square Enix, man, I know you. This is going to be a time exclusive. I'm calling it now. This is going to be a time exclusive. They're going to release it on other system later.
I mean, legitimately, it did look like this could have been released on Switch 1.
You know, that maybe that's part of the. Okay, you know, I'm trying to be positive. Stop it.
I'm sorry. Okay,
let's trying to be positive. Well, speaking of positivity, this one is true. This one's real positivity because we talked about this game some time ago when they first did the announcement trailer. But there's so little to go off of in that announcement trailer, other than hey, we're making a game. But now we finally have more information. And that is Marvelous' newest entry into Daemon X Machina series called the Daemon X Machina Titanic Scion, which if you guys have been following our show for a little while, I think we talked about this like last year, like when it first got announced. So let's take a look at the trailer because this is really going to give us a much better idea what this game is about.
Okay. Yep, I remember being pretty hyped for the original Daemon X Machina when I first saw the trailer for it. Not fully knowing what the heck it was going to be, but it's like a big mecha battler. It's cool. It's like armor, not quite Armor Core, right? What's the
not
one?
Quite Armor Core.
It's a little faster. What's the?
I think it's just like a rather than Armor Core being like in a robot, you're more in like a mechanic suit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, whatever. It's all machines and
like,
fighting.
Instead of like Gundam, it's more like Iron Man, I guess.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
So that's what this is. It's less mecha, more.
Well, it's still mecha, just you know.
Just not giant robots, medium-sized robots,
and tiny robot,
tiny robot. No, Chibi Robo. That's a whole different game.
You get to pet a dog, which is great.
I did see that.
That was 100%, 10 out of 10. We'll buy the game just to pet the good boy over there.
I'm glad that they realized how important it is to show that you can, in fact, yes pet the dog.
Yes, and cats and all kinds of pets. Please let us pet all the pets in games moving forward. That should be a default. It's 2025, game developers. What's going on? We should be able to pet all the pets. 2D, 3D, doesn't matter. We should be able to pet all the pets.
I agree.
That's the default.
Yes.
Anyways, watch they start charging DLC to pet the pets.
No, absolutely not.
Am I giving them an idea? Anyways, this game will be coming out in September of this year, September 5th to be exact, but not exclusive on the Switch 2. This is actually coming out on PS5, Xbox Series, Switch 2, of course, and PC via Steam. There will be a standard and limited edition for the physical copy available, and then like 3 editions for the digital. So plenty of different ways to get your game on. So yeah, if you're like me, I'm probably going to get this one. I'm excited. Just for the same reason that I'm excited for Armor Core.
So let's go ahead and take a look at this one too here, because speaking of petting the dog, there is in fact a dog in this one.
Dude, that stream went crazy when this came out. The stream went wild.
I mean, like, the stream was pretty wild for a few reasons.
The chat had freaking zoomies. Speaking of dogs,
oh man,
the
I know.
chat had zoomies when this game came out.
So yeah, for those of you who aren't aware, Toby Fox, that's the dogs who the dog represents, the developer of the game. Toby Fox, creator of Undertale, creator of Deltarune Chapters 1 and 2, they are releasing not just Chapters 1 and 2, but also Chapters 3 and 4.
That's right.
That didn't say anything about 3 and 4 there, did it? But Chapters 3 and 4 are also going to be included in some of the new news on the Nintendo Switch and Switch 2 and PC via Steam and PlayStation 4 and 5. It's going to be awesome. And
did I give you the wrong trailer?
I think you did.
Well, you know what? Hold on. Keep talking. I'll find the right trailer. The most professional of all podcasts, everyone.
That's all right. But I'll just let you know. So Chapters 1 and 2 right now, they're already free. And there will be a total of 6 chapters in total. Chapters 3 and 4 will cost you about $25, and then eventually, chapters 5 and 6 will be included in the $24.99 as a free update once they are available, which is pretty dang cool. You know, I've been hearing some people say, man, you know, these Switch games, man, they're too dang expensive, man. Here's 6 games for the price of a half. Toby Fox, man of the people, gotta love it.
Hold on, how do I add this? Did I add it? I added it.
Oh,
okay.
Oh yeah, go ahead and play it.
I've never added one before, but here we go.
Here we go.
Wrong trailer.
Toby
This
Fox,
is the right one.
Yep.
It's still Toby Fox. There you go.
Look at those. So yeah, here we go.
Those who don't know, Toby Fox has been very busy. The guy, he was making new. Well, he's been focusing on more like his music career, I think.
Oh yeah.
Where he was making music for Pokemon. What is it called? Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. He made music for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet.
Oh,
but those
no
who
kidding.
wasn't aware. Yeah, he did. And he also made he was also producing new songs for like some artists, including this one Japanese artist that I follow. So he's been busy. He hasn't just not done things, but I guess maybe he's just taking a break from game development, because I guess it could be for training. Yeah.
I imagine being a game developer for Toby Fox's audience could be especially draining. I mean, yeah. It's that level of success is both a blessing and a curse. Mm-hmm. I still remember how the audience of Undertale gave MatPat a existential crisis for a while. That's I will say that is one of the reasons I played through Undertale. I was thinking about reviewing it, then I saw MatPat and that whole thing. I'm like, you know what? Nah, I'm good.
Nah. Yeah.
Nah. Yep.
Yeah,
this
is why I will never stream Deltarune or Undertale. Nope. Cannot.
Dude,
will not. Yeah.
My friend's daughter, she's in a freshman in high school at this point, and she's been in just casual conversation, it came up that people are just arguing nonstop about whether or not Undertale or Deltarune is the better game, and they come to blows over it. It's what in the actual hell, man?
About to get into full MMA, get into the Octaring over this.
I know, man. It's wild. I'm not touching Undertale or Deltarune with the 10-foot pole. But it's
fight people over, or maybe I would fight them over, and that is to say the $25 price tag for all 6 chapters effectively
bargain.
Is a great bargain. Yeah, I think it's a very fair price for a game of this kind of
fanfare and
fanfare. Yeah, 1 and 2 is already free. 3 and 4, $25. 5 and 6 will be free. Updates.
That's a fan base that is rabid enough. They had to pay $60 per chapter, but he's not gonna do that, and I love it.
Yeah, he could have totally charged double, and you all would be happily paying that.
Y'all see what Nintendo Freak will charge for a Pokemon game.
That Toby Fox also helped work on.
I will say. I mean, yeah, that is true, but. Well, anyways,
yeah. All right. Are you ready for the fun stuff?
Oh, yeah, I think so. Are you guys ready for the fun stuff? Because we're done talking about all the positive stuff.
Yeah.
No, actually, that's not true. That's not true. I do think that some of the fun stuff is still yet to come. Because now we're actually going to be talking about the industry news side of things. Let me change the section overlay, because it's very, very important. Industry news. Hang on. Let me try that again. Hang on. Industry news.
Love it.
I haven't used that effect for a while. So
well, you can start using it again once you start streaming, man.
Yeah, let's do it. So let's go ahead and just start by talking about some of the hardware specs of this thing because
Yes.
honestly, pretty staggering. And I suspect I have some hypotheses, and I'll bounce them against you as well. And you can tell me what you think, okay? First things first, it's got nearly an 8-inch screen, 7.9 inches, but who's counting, right? Compared to the original 6.2 inches. And trust me, in the hand, you can feel the difference between 6 and 8 inches.
Yeah. In the hand.
And then it's going to be 1080p, a 1080p screen compared to 720p, which means there will in fact be a higher pixel density.
A lot more P's
Per eye.
per eye.
So many more P's in your hand.
So many more P's in your hand.
And it's going to be up to 120 frames per second.
Up to. You guys gotta really be careful with this one. Yeah.
With VRR, variable refresh rate, which is a very important aspect of that. That's not something every monitor can do. The monitors sitting on my screen in front of me, they don't do VRR. They only do 60 hertz. In fact, believe me, I've tried. They're from work. And it has support for HDR. Which means I'm going to probably at some point going to have to figure out how to capture 4K 120 HDR.
Can you even capture HDR? Is that
You can, but the whole workflow of using HDR footage is such a pain. Oh my God, man. And not everybody has a screen that can use HDR at this point. Like, and YouTube does some forms of HDR. It's like our HDR10 support or something like that. And some screen, like it's all so messy.
Maybe I'm a little behind on the
but
HDR
will it say
thing.
8K on the box?
That's a great question.
It's a great question because just to provide some context, the PlayStation 5 said 8K. And I think the reason is hypothetically, the HDMI port is capable of pushing like 8K 30 frames or something like that. Technically, nobody will do that. Nobody better do that. That'd be stupid. That'd be a very stupid thing to do with your PlayStation 5. I mean, maybe as a tech demo, it'd be all right, but like, don't spend development money on that. Now, it does also say here that it has some form of DLSS and real-time ray tracing.
Yeah, and that's
ray
from
tracing.
NVIDIA themselves. NVIDIA had put out the blog that the Switch 2 will be capable of this using their chip. So now whether or not the game supports it is key.
It also is not on here. You didn't say it on the sheet, but I remember it also supports 4K resolutions when docked.
Oh no, that's down there.
Oh, it's further down? All right.
Well, further down. Yeah.
Okay, well maybe we'll just keep going then. Yeah, let's keep going in order. Okay. All right. So the thickness of this screen is the same. So I mean, all in all, it's much bigger, but not a whole lot girthier. The Joy-Con will be connected magnetically. The Joy-Cons will also be larger and can be used like a mouse, both of them. And they actually demonstrated that with the I can't remember what the game is called.
Wheelchair basketball game that they had as a tech demo game.
I don't know if it's supposed to be a tech demo, but it does.
I look at it like it's a tech demo. It's not, but I'm like, that's a tech demo.
It feels like a tech demo.
We'll pass it off as a game.
Yeah. It's one of those games that's like designed to showcase a gimmick for sure. Moving along though, it's got a better kickstand that can stick into various positions along its way, including like kind of all the way downish.
Oh geez,
it's gonna be nice.
Yeah,
it's probably gonna break also.
They
I can see people breaking it.
Yeah, I totally can. But they've had a lot of feedback from people using the original kickstand. So I
I've
don't
got a
doubt
launch
that they would
switch,
design another
and I haven't broken the kickstand yet, but that's also because it hasn't left the dock. So now it also has a top USB-C port, which you can use for connecting a camera and charging. And
oh, it's so good. The top USB-C port is just like wow, just mind blown. That
it's funny how much like yeah, it's funny that that's such a good thing because I know that you and I are like it's much better to charge that way when you're playing. And it's
yes,
such a small thing, but it's also
yes,
not. It does
yeah,
feel big.
it's huge.
Yeah. Also, 256 gigs of internal memory compared to the Switch's 32 gigs.
Mhm.
Some people I've seen are still complaining about that. Um, I can't bring myself
It
to
should be 1
complain.
terabyte. Well, why not 5 terabyte? Why not 10 terabyte? I don't
Dude,
know, dude. Like the
dude,
number
why
can
not?
keep going
Why
up.
not
Like just why
256
not? Yeah,
terabytes?
yeah. Why not 256 terabytes?
I wish these people complained as much about how much storage an iPhone comes standard with.
Oh, jeez.
At least they're not nickeling and diming people quite to that degree, where they have
Oh,
like
yeah.
three trim models, and each one costs $1,000 extra if you want
If
like
they
a
did that, I
terabyte.
would riot.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
But people that won't stop people from pretending that they are. Moving along, the new dock has
There you go.
2K and 4K support and HDR output,
Yes.
with a built-in fan for active cooling, which I
Yeah.
think means that the dock is doing something active of its own.
Thank you. That's what I said when I saw
Uh-huh. I'm
the direct because I was
I'm reading
like,
between the lines. Yep.
yeah, because I don't think the system can handle 2K,
Mhm.
4K output on its own.
No, I don't think so.
And so I'm just like, there's got to be some kind of like a
Oh,
upscaler
I
of
gotta.
some sort in the dock.
Yes, I was gonna say it's not an external GPU. I'll tell you
Yeah,
that
not
much.
quite that.
But
Yeah,
it's
but an
definitely
upscaler. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
and I'm fine with it as long as
Mhm.
it, actually works with the chip seamlessly. It's not some third party gimmick thing, right? Like I'm down for that.
Yeah. And what it
2K
will
is
probably
important.
what it
Yeah.
will probably eventually do is I wonder if it will lead to okay, so the Nintendo Switch 2 dock, assuming that that is the case.
Mhm.
Let's just assume for the sake of argument that the fan is there to cool components that are doing some heavy lifting,
Mhm.
because that's the only thing that would make sense. And maybe what that is doing is something like what the Marseille 4K upscalers are doing right now. Something akin to that. Some sort of programmatic. Maybe it's made by NVIDIA. Maybe it's Maybelline. And I think that that's okay. It's not going to produce, in my opinion, like a true 4K image, but an upscale from 480p or from 1080p to 4K.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: if this dock can do that, that means that the Switch is programmed to feed it some information to maybe facilitate that,
Mhm.
which means that hypothetically, a third party dock doesn't have to necessarily be limited by what the original dock can do. Hypothetically,
Yeah,
in
I
in
need to
5 years, in
Mhm.
5 years, could that dock be doing some? Could a third party dock do the 8K upscaling that everybody thinks they probably want?
I need to see the actual hardware.
I would
It's
have to
hard
see
to
it too.
say.
I know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's hard to say.
but that's
But
it's just one
it's fun
possibility.
to dream. Yeah.
Mhm. But I will
Um,
also say that that means that third party docks are also going to be probably a lot more expensive if they do this, or a lot of other
Yes.
third party docks are probably just going to do the 1080p output that the Switch can natively do. That's the trade off. But the benefit is that Nintendo gets to put the 4K label on the game, and
Yes. There's one other thing. Speaking
Mhm.
of the dock, I forgot to put it, and that's the dock will use like high wattage compared to the original dock. So the
Yeah.
original brick no longer works. It works for charging, but it's not going to work for dock mode. I think it's like 60 watt is like the new dock.
Okay.
But that also means that my travel dock is no longer going to work, and I'm
The
really
Genki.
sad.
Oh, that's why
Genki
Genki's
one.
been pushing the new Switch 2 components so hard lately, huh? They're like, you got to buy our new dock, got to buy our new stuff.
Well, no, that new dock, the Covert Dock 2, that
Yeah.
doesn't have enough wattage to
It doesn't?
push the. It doesn't, because it was like 40. It's like 48 watt compared to like the required like 60 watt for stable operations. So I'm just like,
These are the people
don't
who
know,
leaked the
I feel
Switch
like-
2. Like Genki is the one who leaked the Switch 2. They had it
Genki.
at CES like 6 months early or something, and they
Genki.
didn't know that it was gonna draw more wattage. Oh, that's embarrassing.
I think I don't quote me on it. Like I looked at
right.
it. I
Yeah.
asked, I'm like, okay, I went to the Genki site, it says 48 watts. I looked online everywhere. You know, it seems like a 60 watt for the new Switch. But you know, don't quote me on the new Switch 2 spec just yet, because I don't know how official that is. Wait until June. When June comes around, we'll know for certain. But yeah, let's just move on for now, though.
Yeah. All right. So that's option 2, is that if it isn't doing some sort of internal or rather external upscaling, it could be providing the extra juice and cooling required to keep the Switch cool in order to maintain those 4K upscales. But
as long as they can put 4K in a box, I guess, you know.
But the question is,
8K.
The question is, when they say, "Oh, it does up to 120 FPS," oh, it does up to 4K, but does it do up to 4K 120 FPS?
Not at the same time, no.
That's the thing. That's the question. Is it going to be 4K 60? Probably. If I don't know. Like I don't suspect. I mean, it probably depends on the game, right? It's got to probably depend on the game. Like indies, probably, yeah, sure. Indies that aren't really pushing the Switch.
Says 8K on the PS5 box is meant for videos. You can play 8K videos.
Yeah.
Video games. It's
sure.
Videos.
Yeah.
Yeah. For what it's worth, I guess. Yeah.
Sure. Okay. Well, they removed that from the box anyways, so it's fine.
Misleading is the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody thought they were going to be doing 8K gaming on a PS5.
You'd be surprised, man.
I was going to say probably nobody who is in the know. Like nobody who watched LTT try to do 8K gaming like several years ago, and like what that entailed. Yeah,
a lot of the people who are like in the know are like sworn PC master race, and they were like never touching your plebe console.
That's probably fair. Yeah,
and then there are people like us who like we don't have a choice but to game on literally everything, because we're kind of like in the ecosystem to do whatever content we need. But a lot of people, I think, are getting the system and just seeing the thing on the box like, well, it says 8K, I guess. Well, let's see if we can do that. Oh no, totally cannot. Oh boo. Like,
okay, so let's get back to the Switch. Physical and digital Switch 1 games are going to be mostly supported, with some exceptions on the Nintendo Switch 2. There are some like something like 150 games right now out of the massive Switch library that are known to have some compatibility issues, which is probably
they came out with a list.
Yeah,
they do have a list,
and you can review it. But there are some that have like IR requirements. Some of them are just like a form factor issue, like Ring Fit. It won't have the right connectors in the Ring Fit ring. I'm sure that maybe somebody will make a third-party version of it, but I don't know.
It's and some other ones are like they're not sure why it doesn't work, but they are investigating. It's like there's several lists actually. So I respect them for being very thorough.
Yes,
like
and
they list
upfront.
out all the games, they tell you what the problem is, and then they're like they'll also say like whether or not they're working on it. Like some of them are just straight up it's not going to be supported, like period.
Yeah.
Some other ones they're like we don't know what's wrong with it yet, but we're working on a solution.
And part of that is that the Nintendo Switch 2 is relying on some hybrid of hardware support and emulation-based support for the Nintendo Switch. It's not just, and I was kind of thinking that it would just be a beefed-up chip with running the same kind of code. and it is a beefed up ARM chip, but it also there's some translation layers that have to be there for it to work properly, and some of those aren't up to 100%. Kind of like how the Xbox and the Xbox 360 are technically kind of backwards compatible, and it started off very spotty, but gradually throughout the console lifespan, Microsoft did extend backwards compatibility to basically anything you'd really want to still play from the Xbox. And I'm wondering if Nintendo is going to do something similar.
I think 100-ish games like before the system launch is pretty respectable.
Yeah.
Given that list is going to shrink because they're vowing to like resolve those situations with like system updates and stuff. So
Yeah.
but
But
some
that
of they're
said-
just straight up not going to work on. But
Yeah.
I think
That
that's pretty
said, check the list if you have specific games that you want to play, and buy the system that does what you want it to do, not the system that you hope will do what you want it to do. Does that make sense?
That's right.
Don't
That's
buy
right.
promises. Buy what it does. Okay.
That's right.
Okay. So yeah, the new dock has the 4K HDR and physical Switch games. Okay. Switch 2 only works with micro SD Express cards, which is kind of a it's a new-ish technology. I don't it's unproven so far, but it is not like a proprietary form of storage. It is the successor to the SD card storage format. And yeah, it's expensive, and currently they don't, as of right now, to my knowledge, make them at the same capacities, which has got some people kind of pissed off because they're like, hey, I have a 2 terabyte SD card, and I have 1,000 games loaded up on this SD card. It's going to be really difficult to transfer all of my games over. It's like, well, do you need them all at once?
Yeah,
Really?
it's gonna be rough. Whenever new technologies is being adopted. Now, I thought about it and I'm like, okay, well, suppose that they allow you to use micro SD for one reason or another, and the game just doesn't load like correctly, and then you have all kinds of issues like that. Then you're opening a different, can of worm. And so,
I mean, honestly, as far as I'm concerned, if you have a 2 terabyte SD card, that's a 1% problem. Like you could probably
True.
afford a second SD Express card, honestly.
now they've saved
if that's
for
the case.
years for that card. How dare you?
How dare I? I know. Cry me a river.
Yeah.
But for real, like if it's really a problem, just get yourself maybe an external SSD, over USB-C that runs like a God, what's the NVMe drive or something. Like just tape it to the back of your Switch or something. It'll probably work. It's micro SD or USB 3. It's USB-C. Yeah, it's probably compatible. Maybe not because it's Nintendo, but maybe. You never know. It could work.
Unproven theories. I
know.
Try it, don't risk.
I again buy the game that or the console that does what you want it to do, not the one that I hope it does.
That's right. That's even like one person removed from not just your personal wish, did what Derek wished it would do.
Yeah. Honestly, Nintendo should just consult with me when making systems from now on.
No.
WWSDD.
That's crazy.
What would Super Derek do? That's right.
What would Super Derek do? Well, you would have named it Super Nintendo Switch.
Well, that's the first thing, obviously.
Yeah.
The new Switch Pro controllers will have a C button, which is the camera button, a GL and GR buttons. That's the left and right buttons. On the what is that? GL and GR.
So the
Is it the
C button
triggers?
is actually the chat button, not the camera button.
Yeah.
And then because we'll talk about the camera later too, and the chat function.
Mhm.
GLGR is the what is it called? Like the little button on the handle.
Oh, like a grip right
The
and left.
grip button. Yeah.
Oh, like
grip
the
L,
weird
grip R.
paddle
Yeah.
things.
Yeah. That.
I don't.
I'm not a fan of it, but I mean, some people like it. I've never used it on controllers that I actually have the the grip button. I've never used,
No,
but
no.
some
It
people
always,
like it.
it's every time that I've had a controller that does something like that, I'm just like, oh no, I don't like, because it removes my ability to just actually grip the controller like I want to. I got a death grip, I guess.
You gotta hold it like an egg, you know.
Yeah,
like,
just gotta
be gentle.
you hold it like this, and you don't touch anything. You just do this, and then you like click, click,
Click.
I don't get it. I don't know. I'm old. Okay, so
It's true.
so it's gonna have those grip left and right buttons and an audio jack.
I know, in 2025. That's
Wow.
crazy.
Wow.
That we are still the best thing we have is still the audio jack in 2025.
But let me tell you,
You know.
the best news I've heard so far, Switch 1 controllers will continue to work for supported titles. So my Switch Pro, without the C button, will still probably work for most things.
In fact, and I want to clarify that because I wrote that in. I want to clarify that means all Nintendo Switch 1 controllers will work to some capacity.
Mhm.
So, and I say that because there are, for example, they have those like NES controllers and
Yep.
SNES controllers
Oh
that,
yeah.
where like at the top rail you can like slide into
Oh,
a switch
yeah.
and charge. Well, you can't do that anymore because the charge mechanism is different. However, you can still connect those to the Switch 2. So any amount of money you spent on like the Switch 1 controller, all of them, including the Switch 1 Joy-Con, all the specialty controllers, the Pro controllers, all of them will work exactly the same with the Switch 2 for the supported titles, except for the charging. But I think that's to be expected. Like anyone who's looked at the charging mechanism should not expect that to work anymore.
I'm bored
that's
too.
still
In the
good.
chat
Oh.
mentioned that you can, in fact, because you can connect Switch 1 controllers,
Mhm.
you can still use them to play
Yeah.
the Ring Fit.
You sure can. I mean, it'll be
So
a slight hassle, but
yeah,
slight
maybe,
hassle.
maybe
but
not.
yeah, like if I didn't own a Switch 1, I
Yeah.
just buy a Switch 2, and I'm like, oh, Ring Fit. Oh, I now have to get a pair of Joy-Con. You see, I'm like slight hassle.
Slight,
It's
yeah.
not the end of the world. Yeah. But it
But
will
here's
work.
here in a second. Here, I'll tell you why I'm glad that my Switch Pro controller will work though, and it has to do with this next feature called Game Chat. So this requires online memberships in order to use after October 2026. It's free right now, or well,
Well,
once the game launches, once the
for like
system launches,
4
it's
months.
included.
Yeah.
It's included. You can use it for free until October 2026. Then also, optionally, you can use the Switch 2 camera.
Yeah.
Of note, though, it's not just the Switch 2 control or camera. It's not locked. Did you know that? You can use any camera, any
Oh, I
USB-C
didn't know you
camera,
can use any camera.
any USB camera. It will have to
okay.
have a
I was
USB-C
wondering
port.
about that.
Yeah, they've
Okay,
confirmed
so it
that.
has to have a Type C connector. Okay. That's
Yeah,
fair. Yeah.
and you can get a little Type C USB adapter. I mean, I think if Nintendo were trying to nickel and dime everybody, they would probably have locked it, but they're not. At least not in this instance. They're not doing everything that they can to nickel and dime us. There are some things that we'll talk about that feel like it, but this is actually not so bad. Especially because a lot of us already have USB-C or USB cameras from lockdown era that you haven't really had to use ever since Return to Office kicked in. So what are you doing with that? So
well, I'd say this is not bad at all because the camera is not even required to begin with. It's
right. It's an optional pack-in add-on thing. Yeah. So that's pretty cool. And also, I think maybe it would benefit from a better camera. If I'm being honest, if we, some of the footage that they showed off of the cameras,
not great.
I mean, the camera quality itself was pretty borked to begin with, but I understand. I mean, why bother? But then it's gonna get like chopped down to like 5 frames per second when you're streaming with your friends.
Well, you know why they released a Switch 2 camera? It's because some people who don't really know and aren't tech savvy just want you to have like an official thing that just works. Plug it in, just works.
Oh yeah,
right.
yeah.
So
That's the
I see
fail
why they
proof.
do it.
I
Yeah,
okay. Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
I agree.
yeah, yeah. Like
That's why they
parents
have
are
an
like, oh
official
well,
one, because there might be the edge
right,
cases that won't work, and
right,
then
right. Like if
sure.
I'm a parent, like nowadays, you know what? I was going through the direct, obviously, as I was writing the docket, and when it got to like the parental control thing, I actually like stopped and paid attention.
I
And
know.
that's how I know I've
Uh-huh.
gotten to that age where I'm like, oh, so what kind of parental control feature do you have? I don't have kids, by the way,
They didn't show
but
very many. But yeah, that's like the first thing I saw
but I
when
actually stopped.
they're like, kids can now use the camera. I'm like, hang on a second.
Hang on a
Whoa, buddy,
second.
hold on. You don't go giving kids access to a camera unsupervised on the internet. Like that's
The
just
fact that I cared
I know. Same
means I
here.
got kind of old.
Damn it. I
Yeah,
know.
but let's talk about game chat for a second because
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty interesting what they're doing. Obviously, a lot of people are like, "Oh yeah, well, you could just do it with
Discord or something. Sure.
Discord or whatever." Yeah, but this is
Ventrilo.
built into the system. The mic is built in with
Mhm.
noise cancellation. The camera.
The noise
plugs straight into
cancellation is going to be nice because that's based off of the NVIDIA noise removal from RTX stuff, RTX
That's
voice or
right.
whatever. And that's
right.
pretty solid. If you guys ever saw the Barnacles video where he's like banging a hammer and got a leaf blower going and stuff, and
Yeah.
you can hear him just fine. It went viral several years back. It's that kind of thing. So when they were
Yeah.
showing off the mom making a smoothie in the background while he was playing,
But that's real though.
It is.
Like that
It-
happens.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, back in the day, my mom would be like cleaning. She'd be like vacuuming and be like, "Mom," she's like, "That's how my parents were like." I know. Lift your feet.
No, no, not to lift your feet with the wired controllers. Like, oh,
Lift the controller because I'm going. Yep, they're gonna suck up the controller cord if you're not careful. Yeah.
I get up and walk towards the TV.
Oh,
And I'm like, yeah, go behind me, go behind me.
yeah.
I'm not like.
That's well, that's the thing. I was already like sitting in front of the TV. When I used to game, I was like this far from the TV. I never gamed from the couch.
Did it mess up your eyes?
If
Getting that close.
Oh yeah, that's why I'm nearsighted, man. That's why I wear glasses. Oh yeah, 100%. Seriously, like when I was a kid, I used to be like, I want to see how this works. So I like put my eye right up to the screen, and I'd like see like the little green, yellow, and red.
Oh
and
no!
it's okay for your eyes, really.
Yeah, it
it's
totally
fine.
is.
But
Yeah, 'cause
that's what I used to do.
for
I'd be like,
anyone
how
does
does
not
this
know-
work?
For anyone does not know, these are not real glasses. I don't.
They're-
I actually
yeah.
have perfect vision.
Yeah.
These are just blue light glasses.
Yeah.
And I game all my life. And up close to the TV. So, yeah, no, it totally does nothing to damage your eyes.
Oh yeah, did you see the Hori piranha plant camera that they're selling?
No.
Oh yeah, you should look that up. It's pretty cool.
I'll look that up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's probably the same garbage like internals, but it looks neat.
It's
and
cute. Yeah.
It's very cute.
Those are great for gifts, I feel like. Like you
Sure.
gift that to people and like, oh, it's fun. Like
Yeah.
I got you something. So you know what? But okay, so
I wonder
back
if
to
the
game.
iToy would work. The original
You know what?
PlayStation 2
That would
iToy.
that would be crazy if you plug it in and somehow it works. Like, whoa, no way.
If it has UVC drivers, I'm sure it would.
But the game chat function, I think, because as I was watching it, I'm thinking from like a streamer perspective. I'm just like, I feel like there's a lot of things you can do like collab wise with people. And it's gonna make more sense as we talk about like game share capabilities in
Mhm.
conjunction with game chat. Because a lot of times, and maybe this is like things that other people may not think too much about, but a streamer, sometimes we want to collab with like a fellow streamer and we're like, hey, let's collab on this game. Let's say we want to play a multiplayer game. And the first question we ask is, how many copies of this game do we need?
Yeah.
Because some games will allow you to host like other people.
Mhm.
And you only need one copy. Other games, you cannot. Which kind of leads us to the next feature, Mr. Derek. Tell us about the next feature.
Well, Game Share is a new feature that allows a single copy of a compatible game to allow you to share it.
Yeah. So okay, so the original, if you guys remember the Switch, the original like commercial for the original Switch was like this millennial lady, busting out the Switch on like a rooftop party, and then everyone taking out Joy-Con and playing on the little screen, right?
Mhm.
So the original idea of the Switch is that you can really bring it to anywhere, and as long as you have enough controls for everyone can stare at the tiny screen and play, or you can hook it up to a TV, and then everyone can use the tiny controllers and play on a big TV. So the idea of playing off of a single copy isn't exactly new. What is new here is that if I own a game on my Switch and it is a compatible game, I can now share that game multiplayer with other people who also have their own Switch device, and they can join with their Switch device. So they're not just holding a tiny camera and looking at a small screen or the TV screen. They can look at their own screen, which for some games actually makes sense. Imagine if you're playing like a poker game, right? I
Mhm.
mean, yeah, I'll see everybody's hand on the big TV or the screen like that we
Yeah,
all share. It
yeah.
wouldn't make sense, right? But now I can look at my own screen and then we can play together on a game that's compatible. So that's the new thing. And what's cool, I think, and because I'm kind of excited for this, what's cool about this is for the Switch 2, you can use other early Switches as your personal console. So if I am using a Switch Lite, if I'm using the, whatever old Switch, I can
Mhm.
still play the game with you, even though you're using a Switch 2.
Yeah.
And that doesn't force everyone to go out to buy a Switch 2, which for things like this, that's like consumer friendly, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Right. So that's
Oh,
all pros and no cons in this
and
one.
here's one of the other pros. Speaking of pros, I was going to mention this earlier. So one of the reasons that one of my favorite features is that you can use Switch Pro controllers on a Switch 2
Mhm.
is because once your free membership to that game chat service ends in October 2026, you have essentially a button on your controller that won't do anything anymore.
Yeah, basically.
At best. Now somebody in my last video, when I said something along the lines of,
Mhm.
if this brings up some sort of prompt every time that I accidentally hit the game chat button for me to like enter my credit card details or something in order to
I'd be
unlock the Switch
furious.
Online service, I would desolder that button. And somebody was like, "That's misinformation." I said, "No, that's a promise." So it is. I did not say that is what's going to happen, and it does. It like and the reason that I care is because I have other controllers right now for the Switch with like the share button that does interrupt gameplay every time that I accidentally press it, which is again the only time that I press it. So the reason that I care about being able to use the Switch Pro controllers on a Switch 2 is because problem solved. I can just use the Switch Pro controller without the C button and never accidentally hit that. I'll still probably hit the share button once in a while, but it's probably going to be okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh man.
Okay. So we talked about, let's see, we talked about the game. Yeah, so for the game share, now that we have this function, I looked at the game chat function in a conjunction with this, and I feel like that has made collaboration really easy.
Mhm.
Because it's all in the centralized system. You just need to send one feed out to a channel, and then boom, there you go. You're done, right?
Yeah,
So
kind
I
of.
feel like that's gonna.
Okay. So the thing that I dislike about this is that those like cameras that you would use for a situation like this are gonna be kept at like I said, 5 frames per second, and they look like butt, and you don't really have a whole lot of control over. I mean, it's nice to have like the voice and stuff routed straight through. Like that'll take care of that.
Yeah.
But you would still want to do something like what you and I do to send your video over here, and that's tribal knowledge that we have how to do that because we've been streamers for over a decade at this point.
Yeah.
God, we're so old.
Well, Where's this is the 109th episode.
109, yeah.
109th episode. By the
If
way,
we actually
everyone.
streamed every single Sunday
Every
night,
single
that would be
Sunday.
over 2 years.
Yes.
Over 2 years. But we've been at it for longer than that, you and I, which is wild to
Yes.
think about. Happy anniversary.
Hey. All right. So that's that. Now, in order to share a single copy of the game through Game Share locally is free, from
Mhm.
what I gather. If
Okay.
you want to share a single copy, long distance over the web, you will need game chat, which means you will also need online membership eventually. So that's
Yeah.
something to keep in mind. Like,
Mhm.
it's not a free function, but it's like it's great that it's free locally, and it's great that it's available as a
Mhm.
thing if you so choose to have it. But everyone will need a online membership, and that's the catch. They didn't specifically say that you need an online membership, but they had said that you need game chat.
Yeah.
And what do you need for game chat after October? Online membership. So, ergo, you do need that. So,
Yeah.
but it's not like a necessary function. It's just if
No.
you need it.
Yeah.
Is it
It's just
as-
it's just unfortunate that a lot of controllers will have a dedicated button that will
God, I hate
just
this
be
C button.
it really shouldn't have,
I
it
hate
should have just been a menu item, really. Like,
Yeah,
let's be real. It should have been like maybe just like an in-game menu where you turn it on and it
Yeah.
works. Like, but you don't have to have a
dedicated button on a controller just for this. Like, come on.
and it's also disappointing that it wasn't just like a, kind of cast to your Switch dock,
Mhm.
kind of option. Like that would have been pretty
Is
cool.
the negativity starting to kick in?
No,
Are
no.
we switching? No,
That's
yet?
not negative yet. Like
Not yet.
I'm talking about some of the theories that people had, but I mean
Mhm.
historically, like the C on Nintendo controllers has always been about camera. Like they started with the C, the
Yeah,
C
camera
buttons were camera
control,
controls
yeah.
on 64, the
Yeah.
C stick on the
It is
on
now
the
chat
GameCube.
button.
Yeah, well, it's now camera chat.
Camera chat. Yes.
Yeah, and so anyways, it's still the camera button as far as I'm concerned, and I guess we
Just a
should have
different kind
probably
of
seen
camera.
that. We should probably should have seen it coming.
Mhm.
Now,
All right.
let's move
Speaking
on.
of online,
Yeah.
let's talk about the expansion pack update.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack for the Switch is now allowing, in just the Switch 2,
Switch 2, yeah.
sorry, the NS2 is allowing the GameCube classics. So
Yes.
it's pretty exciting because I mean, like, well, they haven't ported the 1080p Wind Waker HD from the. I mean, I'm not being negative. I'm just stating facts. It's still
Mhm.
stuck. It is the last remaining reason to own a Wii U right now. It like there weren't very many before, but there's even fewer now. But that's the one, as far as I know, that's still stuck there. But you can also play the Switch 2's GameCube support, and that's neat. And and other games too. Fire Emblem, Path of Radiance, I think was one of the other really big ones that, like that right there, pay for itself. If you were gonna buy a physical copy, I mean that'll save you $150. That'd pay for Switch online service for a couple years, I'm sure.
That's right. Well, if you value it as such, anyhow.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
I think the other thing, Twilight Princess too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, we'll get to those in a minute. Now, what's kind of cool for a lot of people, not me in particular, because I didn't really care, but they will be releasing. You know how all the other consoles they release like
The
Switch
controller.
controller, like the
Yeah.
NES, Super NES. Now they're gonna have the GameCube controller with the dedicated C button. But also for your GameCube games. And here's
But
the thing: a lot of Smash players just absolutely swears by this thing, so they need it.
I don't know, man.
They
Here's the thing.
absolutely
That was
need the
my
GameCube
thought
controller.
at first as well.
Mhm.
But then some pictures about it came out online,
Oh,
and the
is it smaller?
well, I mean, it's the same overall size,
Mhm.
but you know how above the left trigger button is like the little bumper, I guess, above
Mhm.
it.
Yeah, like ZL or
Yeah,
something?
ZL, I think. It's tiny. It's
Oh.
it's flush.
Oh.
They did something. They let me see if I can find the picture.
Why
Um,
would they do that?
I don't know. Um, let's
Oh.
see. Let me
That's
see if I.
that's not good.
I know.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Even
it's.
I can tell you that's not good, and I'm not even in the market for
I
this.
know. I saw the picture of it. Like it was on the Nintendo subreddit earlier today. Let me see if I can find this because like, um, it it killed my hype.
Hmm. We are starting to enter slight negative territory.
No,
I'm
no,
gonna
no,
warn you
no,
guys
no, no.
now.
It's we're stating facts, and
We're stating facts.
I have not yet begun to be negative.
Oh no.
um, let's see. Where's the thing? Do. Come on. Huh. Well, I don't know where the picture is. Here, you take the wheel for a second.
Okay. So let's talk about the next thing, and then Derek can show the controller. We can jump in. The Switch 2 edition games. So some games that were previously released on the Switch 1 will be available to be played on the Switch 2, not only just being able to play on it, but with enhanced functions and visuals. The catches, you
Okay.
have to buy it. Oh,
Okay, sorry. Okay. Here, let's take a look at this.
oh,
Yeah.
oh.
Yeah.
Why?
So on the right they have Z. Oh, you can't see my mouse, but yeah, you can see that they have the Z button on the right
Oh, the ZL's on the left. Okay.
and ZL is on the left, but look at it.
What is going on with it? Can we see the original? Can we see what the original looks
I
like?
think the
Just
original
for-
didn't have that button on that.
Okay.
I think it was exclusive to the right side. So they added it. But there's
then maybe it doesn't matter because it wasn't there to begin with.
come on.
I mean, that there's no function that it would serve.
If this controller only works with the GameCube games, then maybe you're right. But if a Smash player wanted to play with this for like a modern Smash game,
Mhm.
then that's not going to be a very good button
Here's
for
the other
them.
thing. Here's the other thing. Maybe a slight counterpoint. They did say that on the Switch 2, you can remap all the buttons. So they just map it so that they don't need that button to begin with.
I mean, but it is there. It's just small.
Maybe it's small on purpose so that you wouldn't even press it. I don't
It's
even know why. I think it's just there for function of like menu function, but
I mean,
not
maybe.
like
Maybe.
gameplay
I mean, it's the ZL button though, and the other is the ZR button. There, like the Switch Pro controller has right and left bumpers, right?
Yeah, but that's Switch Pro. That's
yeah,
not
and
the...
and this should be equivalent to a Switch Pro controller. It ought to be. Like there's
I
no
don't
reason
know.
it isn't. Like the only reason that it isn't is legit.
I feel like if they did that, it would be like the opposite. Like the purists will be like, "Oh, why did you add this button? The original." People complain about the dumbest things. I'm not saying they're right. I'm just saying people will complain because people
That is
will
fair.
complain about anything.
I mean that is true. They will. They absolutely will. I can guarantee that.
Especially
I've
the
experienced it
purists.
firsthand in the last day.
Ugh. Oh God.
But it does look super awkward and yeah, like if I
it
wanted to
is
use that
awkward
as a
looking.
Smash controller for my personal, like I want to play on a GameCube controller or a GameCube style controller, but actually have the modern quality of life improvements, like that's a bit of a dropped ball, I think.
We'll see what you know. What
third
if
party
any of you
will
guys
take care
are
of it.
pro Switch players? Because I'm not. I don't play Smash at all. So I'm like the least qualified person to chime in. But if you are one of those people, let us know if you would be picking up one of these controllers up. Because boy, it'd be hard to connect a like actual GameCube controller to a Switch 2. So this might actually be your best alternative.
Yeah.
Let us know. Let
Yeah.
us know what you think.
Yeah. So
Anyways,
in case you didn't see it, here it is one more time. ZL button is above the left trigger.
It's just a
It is-
nubbin.
You
Oh,
and the
gee.
guy she tells you not to worry about.
Oh my god.
Okay.
Yeah, Switch 2 edition games.
Switch 2. Oh yes, let's
Switch
talk about
2
that.
edition games.
Mhm.
So yes. So this is the part where we need you guys to pay attention, right? Because there are Switch 1 games, there are Switch 2 games, and then there are Switch 2 edition games, which are Switch 1 games that you can play on the Switch 2 with enhanced functions and visuals. They gave plenty of examples. I think one of them is Mario Party Jamboree. Another one is like a Zelda game. But you have to pay additional for that, like what is it called? An upgrade. They call it an upgrade pack.
Yeah.
So there are actually a good amount of games in my mind right now where like either you give me a Switch 2 version of it, or you give me a Switch 2 edition. I will take either.
Mhm.
Because, like, for example, Xenoblade Chronicles 1 and 2 and 3 for that matter, and Xenoblade Chronicle X.
Mhm.
I don't know what Nintendo will do with Monolith. Like, will you give me like a Switch 2 version, as in like it's just native Switch 2? Are you gonna let me keep the Switch 1 game and give me like an upgrade pack that gives me up enhanced functions and visuals? Either ways, like I those are the things I'm curious to know.
So here's
maybe this, yeah.
here's my understanding of it as of
Mhm.
right now. The upgrade packs sounds like they're optional. So you have a Switch 1 game, you plug it into a Switch 2, you can play it. It might play even better.
Yeah.
So that's built in
Mhm.
if it works.
Yeah, we
With
want to
the
be
caveat.
clear that the Switch 1 game, if it works, will work on the Switch 2. You don't need the upgrade pack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So cool thing is if you want to get, pay $10, however many bucks to, it hasn't been confirmed how much it'll be. Some
Mhm.
people think it'll be 10 to 20. I don't know about that, but we'll see. Let's say you pay $10 if you want to experience it with the special features that are made for Switch 2, essentially turning it into the Switch 2 upgrade pack. Now,
Mhm.
what I've heard is that some games, and I could be mistaken about this, but some games when they are the Switch 1 games sold physically for Switch 2 with the upgrade packs built in, what they're going to do is have the Switch 1 version of the game on the cartridge with a code for the upgrade pack in the box.
No. Okay.
That's what I heard. I could be wrong. Asterisk.
I can see it. I can see
Mhm.
that. Yeah.
I mean, it would make sense to do it that way because
I can
you already have the fabs making that exact copy of that game. Is there really a reason to make a new revision to that fab?
The manufacturing wouldn't make sense.
Yeah.
It's easier just to print a code on and just like move on, because
Mhm.
you're not changing your entire assembly line just to do like one extra like thing inside your pack. That
Yeah.
makes sense.
It makes sense to get through your existing stock at least that way.
Yeah.
So yeah, it sucks that that's not going to be built onto the card, and I know, and that's kind of a theme with how they're handling things this time around. That has some people pretty miffed. I don't
Well,
really
here's
care
the
so much,
thing.
but some
I-
people do.
I'm not upset with this because I don't think that there are that many games that will be affected by this. Because here's the thing, like, again, Switch 1 games will work on Switch 2 unless it's on the list of games that they either won't
That
work
doesn't,
or they're
yeah.
working on. Yeah. But with the exceptions of those, which is actually a small percentage, most switching games will just work on the Switch 2 and probably will be enhanced anyways by virtue of it being on the Switch 2. Let's get that out the way. Then there are actual Switch 2 games, which obviously we wouldn't be talking about this because it would just be a Switch 2 game. Like there's
Yeah.
no upgrades. It
Mhm.
just is a Switch 2 game. Which leaves us with like a small like Venn diagram of Switch 1 games that they would even
overlap.
bother to have a Switch 2 edition.
Mhm.
So at the end of the day, we're maybe talking about like 20, 30 games, which is not a whole lot in the grand scheme of things. Some games that could really benefit might be like Pokemon, and most of them are going to be like first party titles, like Pokemon, maybe some Mario game, maybe like
The Zeldas,
Three
maybe.
Houses and like Fire Emblem,
Mhm.
Zeldas, and maybe Xenoblade. But you'll notice that they're all like first party games. Like it's
Probably.
not that many games that it's gonna have this treatment, right?
And you know what? I wouldn't be surprised. In the past, we've seen other companies that just like for the Switch to from PlayStation 4 to 5, they just gave it away. Like
Yeah, they did.
Atlas, they just
Mhm.
I mean, they could have charged, but with what was it? Soul Hackers 2? Yeah. That was one of the games where I got it on PS4, plugged it in my PS5, and they're like, "Oh, here you go."
Well, this is also slightly different because this actually have like new functions.
Well,
that
that is
yeah.
true, but not also not at the same time, because like I could have played it in PS4 mode and it would have run
Mhm.
like a PS4 Pro, but there's a PS5 version that also had some additional enhancements. Maybe not
They aren't,
necessarily to the
like,
gameplay,
they
but
aren't
to the
wholly,
visuals.
like new game functions though,
Yeah.
right? Like they're
Okay,
just
so you're
enhancements.
saying like changes to the gameplay, like with the Legend of Zelda, the
Yeah.
Breath of the Wild. It has the navigation app, which is
Whichever. Well, I think
it's
the
just fine.
Jamboree one is probably like a bigger thing where like it
Mhm.
actually works with like game share and game chat, and you can throw your face on the thing.
Yeah.
It's like it's a whole other thing that's like Switch
Like,
2 exclusive
yeah.
functions.
Yeah, and
So
it
I'm
took some
like,
additional
okay,
development to do. And so
right.
that for that reason, like if you think about it like it's DLC that just gives you a little more bang for your buck, I'm okay with it. Like you don't
Yeah,
have to
it's
buy it.
yeah, I don't think it's that upsetting, especially given how small the scope of the games that are affected. I truly think it's not going to be that many.
Well,
And the
it,
fact that
it
you
could be
don't
bigger. I
actually
mean,
need it.
it could be games like I said, like Atlas, where maybe when you plug in the Switch version of God, what's an Atlas game right now? Persona 3. That wasn't
Reload?
Reload wasn't on Switch, was it?
I don't remember.
I don't remember either.
I honestly do not remember. What games
Persona
on
5
what system?
Tactica. Sure, let's just say Persona 5 Tactica.
Sure.
Maybe you plug it in and maybe there's some additional enhancements that they could potentially charge you for. I don't know if they will or not, but they don't have to. They could make it
Yeah.
free. And
Yeah.
historically, there's precedence for them doing that.
I think
especially
if it's
around
just
launch.
visuals, it wouldn't warrant the extra charge. It's the enhanced function part, whatever they may be, but that's to the developer's discretion, right?
Mhm.
So, and I just don't think they will do it that way. They'd rather make a Switch 2 version that
Yeah.
only works on the Switch 2, not an
Mhm.
upgrade pack. They just and Atlas would do that, right? Like, look at Royal, look at,
Well, I mean, they would.
anyone would do it as Atlas.
That there is that, but again,
Yeah.
for like the switching period from one system to another, they have also historically been bros.
Mm.
So
We'll just have to wait and see. But
Yeah.
I just don't think
buy the games and the consoles that they are, and not the ones that you hope
You
that they
wish,
are.
yeah.
that we wish
I
for.
just don't think they will. But I
Hype-
do
hype
hope that
responsibly.
they will. I do hope they would do something about Xenoblade, because I don't want to buy
It really
a whole new
should.
game.
It really should be
you know.
included at this point, I
Especially
think.
the Xenoblade Chronicle X. Like,
Yes.
it just came out. Come on, dude. Like, it
It-
just came out.
It would feel really bad if they didn't.
Yeah.
So speaking of feeling
All right.
bad,
the next part is going to be complicated.
Game
Game
key
key cards.
cards. Okay.
You know what that is, right?
Yeah. And I got a hot take.
Okay.
Step in the right direction.
Well, let's tell the people what game key cards are. And
All
then
right.
we can talk about it. Yeah.
Game key cards are different from regular game cards because they don't actually contain the game data. Instead, the game key card is your key to downloading the full game to your system over the internet. After it's downloaded, you can play the games by inserting the game key card, just like a regular game card, into your system and then starting it. And then when you're done, you can take it back out. You can sell it. You can trade it. You can lend it to somebody. And whatever happens, that game key card is your key to being able to download the game. And some people are really pissed about this, but I think it's a step in the correct direction. Don't get angry yet. It's a step in the right direction, not from a standard game card, but it is a step in the right direction from a code in a box, which has been a thing that we've seen a lot of lately, where you just have a box with a download key in it. And that's dumb. Don't do that. It's the worst. And they are clearly indicated on the box art, which is nice. You know what you're getting. It's a step in the right direction. It's freely communicated. When you're done with a game, you could trade it into GameStop and buy a different game. But when the servers go down, try not to be the one holding that hot potato. Make sure you trade it into GameStop before the servers go offline, because they'll quickly lose their value as soon as that happens. So in that circumstance, this is essentially kind of like this midway between a digital only game where you have to play it while connected to the internet while downloading it, right? You have to, that is one step. But it's also kind of like a physical game because it gives you some semblance of ownership that even downloaded games from Steam do not allow you to do. Sure, Steam has this incredible track record of always having, like they've never gotten rid of games arbitrarily. Like they've never shut down servers and then, oh no, all my games from 2006 and beyond are no longer accessible.
Like game devs remove games on their own accord.
Yeah,
not
game devs,
Steam
not
like,
Steam.
Go away, yeah.
And I do believe that if you already bought them, they are still able to be downloaded from Steam. Yes. So their servers have not gone down. Conversely, Nintendo has not yet had a server that hasn't shut down.
Other than the current one for now.
Exactly. So the point being, Steam at this point, it feels like they've got a very good track record. Nintendo Switch's services getting shut down feels more like an inevitability. So it's not a matter of if Nintendo will shut down the servers, but when. So it is a ticking time bomb. As are all of these cartridges behind me, by the way. Bit rot is a real thing. So, but that said, you do have some form of ownership that you wouldn't have had if it was just a code in a box. Yeah. Because if you download that code, then it's just tied to your system or your account, and you cannot sell it anymore. So this is still a step in the correct direction, despite the fact that some people are really pissed off about this. There are, I also think, good times to use this system and bad times to use this system. But so far, the only one that I know of is a bad example of when to use this system. Bravely Default is going to be one of those game key cards.
Oh, is it?
Yes, which is dumb. It is dumb because the right time to use this is for online multiplayer games where you require an online connection anyway. Or where there are live service games where you're constantly downloading new patches. The sorts of games where you could not play them without an internet connection to begin with, that is when this makes sense, because when those servers go down, you're out of luck anyway. Like, you're already tied to it. But like, and there are some kinds of games that just receive frequent updates, and in it, there's no conceivable way that if you had like the original, like if Final Fantasy 11 was on one of these game key cards, you know, like when you plug it in, it wouldn't make, like, nothing that would be on the original game card would be relevant. Like the whole thing would be swapped out by, you know, season 3 or 4 or whatever, right? So like that's the right time to use one of these key cards, is like, oh, well, we'll cut costs. We'll put in this, you know, 512 kilobyte chip that just has a couple of scrambled letters on it, you know, and it'll plug in your code to the, that's when it makes sense, and you're cutting costs, but you still have ownership and you can sell it. That's the right time to do this. Bravely Default Remaster is the wrong time, because it is a single player, exclusively single player game. And you should be able to play this in 30 years on your Nintendo Switch 2 without having to connect to a server. There's no reason for that to have to happen. So, yeah,
I agree.
So there's correct ways to use this system. And then there's the ways that we've been seeing, and it pisses me off.
Well, it's just like the NFT. Then I keep having to remind people, like, NFT in and of itself is not a bad thing. Is how is this being utilized is like not correct. NFT turned into like a scam vehicle, basically, right? And pump and dump kind of situation. But NFT as a technology is actually really good, especially for things like title transfers and such.
Yeah. It's a tool. It is a tool, one among a huge toolbox. Kind of like Tariffs in a way, right? You wouldn't just use a hammer to build an entire house, right? Like there are certain tools that you would do to accomplish a certain task, right? Like you wouldn't use a hammer to measure the length of a room. It's not what it's made for.
Measure to, you know, hammer the nail in, right?
I mean, okay, I would do that. Everything is a hammer.
Don't hurt yourself. With the game key cards though, I'm in the position of 90% bad idea, 10% good idea.
Yeah.
90% bad idea for me is, look, I am, you know, unapologetically a physical game collector through and through, right? And obviously you also collect physical game. Look at your wall, right?
Of course. Yeah.
I will admit that there is some downside to physical game ownership, and that's namely pollution, right? Because when you
it's not pollution if I still have it.
it's pollution one way or another.
Eventually, it's eventual pollution.
Yeah. So you create
to counter argument. May I?
Well, no, well, let me
go ahead
on this first. So you have their whole, you know, production process. You have to, you know, transportation, logistics, you name it, right? So there's all kinds of associated pollution, not just the physical item, but the production thereof, right?
Sure.
But we bear all that cost, and the end result hopefully justifies all of these things. When you have the game key card, you're basically incurring all these things, but the end result is, you know, something that's less than, you know, a traditional physical copy. So why not just give me the traditional copy, right? Like, for the most part, 90% of the time, I would take the physical copy.
Yeah.
That's where the 10% comes in, which is your case scenario, where it's like, yeah, I can see why that would make sense. In addition to that, I can totally see a small, like, indie developer who wants to put the game on Switch, but you know, all these things are too expensive. So that could be an alternative for an indie developer to put like a pseudo physical copy, you know,
a limited run sort of release.
It's not perfect, but it's still better than a code in a box.
If it's all they can afford. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's the 10%. Like 90%, 9 out of 10 times, I would say, if you're going to go through all those steps already, get a whole assembly line, get the whole SKU, get the whole production thing, all your logistics, just to get from, you know, scrap to a game in the shelf for me to pick up anywhere on a retailer, you might as well just give me the physical game. Like, I
Mhm.
don't know how much you're actually saving. I don't think it's worth all that trouble,
Probably
right?
not.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah. So here is the counterpoint to your point about pollution
Hmm.
specifically, about
Yeah.
the plastics that we inevitably create and distribute. Um, for one, when we're comparing it to code in a box, you're already producing 90% of the plastics.
Hmm.
You're just you making the extra 10% to house the silicon.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't necessarily feel like the difference there
Well,
is
I would compare against pure digital, not code in a box.
against pure
Code in a box
digital.
is like
Sure.
the absolute bottom barrel, so anything is better than that.
Yeah,
So
that's
it
true.
would be kind of moot to compare it again. But I would compare against straight digital,
Okay.
like no
In that case,
overhead,
I do
no
agree.
physical product. Yeah, no waste. It's just. But obviously, you guys know how I feel about digital games, so it's not like I'm rooting for that either.
Right. Yeah.
But
It is a middle ground between those
yeah.
two options,
Mhm.
and as a necessary result of that, it is the middle ground of environmentally friendliness. Like,
I just feel like if you're gonna go through all that trouble, just give me the physical copy. I'll just
mhm.
pay the extra 5, 10,
Well, maybe
dollars,
not the
40,
middle ground
whatever.
of environmentally friendly, but it is
Yeah, that's the thing. Like
far more
you're going through
consumer friendly.
literally all the pollution,
Yeah,
and then you give me the end product is less than the physical game just to
yeah.
save some money. But
So
where's that save
what if they
money
just
going?
came in a sleeve, like a paper sleeve instead of a box? Would you prefer that?
No, I mean
Just
you
loose copy?
still all the logistics. It's all
No,
the
no, no. I'm
physical
saying we
logistics
don't
issues
include
still,
the
huh?
we get rid of the 90% of the plastic involved in
Sure.
this whole thing and
Mhm.
have just the game card in in a paper sleeve instead of a case.
You still have the production, you still have the assembly line,
All
you still
right.
have all the truck shifting stuff back and forth. There's
All right.
no, I mean,
Yeah.
it will be better, sure, but and I don't mean to go all like environmental friendly because again, I collect physical game.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
just saying, as I do collect these things, I am very mindful of what waste is being created and not trying to like brush it down. Like I know what goes into this,
Yeah.
but they haven't solved the digital ownership problem, which Derek had already talked about. Like when servers close down, what do you have? Nothing.
Right.
So until that is resolved, quite frankly, there is no win on digital anyway, other than just the environmental angle.
Yeah. I mean, and it's hard to have a conversation like this before inevitably coming to the there is no ethical consumption under capitalism thing, which is just like that's the end of a discussion, right? It's like
Yeah,
no
no.
matter what you do, we are contributing plastics to the environment,
That is the
and
logical conclusion. Yes.
yeah, that's. But I will say that there are worse things than games that I've put on my shelf, for the environment, and that could be like the styrofoam containers that I'm given when I go out to eat, and what do I do with those when I'm done? Like there's not any repurposing that into something useful. That's
Yeah.
the end of the road. It is styrofoam, and then it is just bad forever. So
I think at the end of the day, it's just like, look, enjoy what you enjoy, but don't just assume that things just magically appear and boom. Like there's the whole production process that goes into it, right? Like just
yeah,
be aware, just know,
exactly. It's
what it is. Yeah.
okay.
Okay. Speaking of digital games and not digital games, one of the things that a lot of people are like, really freaking out over is the price hike for the games for Switch 2. So we'll talk a little bit about that because we did say that we're going to talk about a bunch of things. The new game benchmark for new games on the Switch 2 looks to be $80 US, which is a bit of a jump from the $70 from maybe like the PS5, and yet a bit more from the $60 that we were used to not too long ago.
It sounds
Even
like
for
the
physical
80
copies.
it sounds like the $80 is the exception to the $70 rule from what I've seen and heard though.
No, that's just what is going around in the rumor
Okay.
mill.
Okay.
Yeah, I have not seen that $80 would be like the new benchmark.
Right.
Although people are
Acting like
worried
it.
that that would be the new benchmark. Yeah.
Right. No, what has so far been shown in the prices that we have available is that right now the only $80 game is the new Super Mario Kart World,
World. Yeah.
which appears to be like a live service game based off of what I'm understanding. Like it sounds, I could be
It's a
mistaken.
live service and they're charging $80. That's crazy.
I mean, but it's okay. I have a personal theory here.
Okay.
So just consider this a potential rumor here.
Mhm.
But I suspect that it has the season pass built into the price.
Okay.
So everybody who has the Switch version, the Switch 2 Mario Kart, everybody who has it will have all of the updates and be able to play on the same courses.
Mhm.
And the extra money will further develop or go towards continued development of the new things. I don't know that that's the right course, but it seems to be. It seems to fit. The theory seems to jive, and that's why I don't necessarily think, and that's why I think most of the games are still 70, based on what we've seen so far. We'll see.
We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, that's my hypothesis. That would explain
Yeah.
why Mario Kart is the only so far the only $80 game that they've shown.
Yeah, so I don't think people need to be too worried about the game price hike. Although, and I will be very clear on this one, that the game price hike that we're talking about is the Nintendo game price hike, not the tariff game price hike, which is a whole different situation that you should probably worry about, among other things.
Yeah.
But strictly on Nintendo raising the price, I don't really think. I think it's a little overblown. But we will see because we haven't really seen all the other games. There's only like one. But if it turns out actually 80 is their new standard, and then Sony decides to follow suit, then maybe it's something that we should be a little bit more concerned about. But even then, it's from my perspective, it's not like a huge increase to begin with. And also the DLC, not the DLC, the digital version is cheaper, which they're finally like, activating that promise that they had giving us, which is, hey, digital version, what's great about digital version? It would cost less because it doesn't cost any physical, like, production stuff. I would
It
argue
does
that it
make
should
sense.
be a lot cheaper, not just like $10 cheaper. It should be like $20 cheaper. But
Well,
hey, that's just me.
maybe they were assuming a 10% tariff on Japanese goods at the time.
10%
Japanese
tariff on
produced.
everybody.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, maybe that's what they were assuming was a 10% tariff on Japanese imported goods. And in order to avoid that, I mean, you don't have to import a game that is sold digitally.
Yeah.
That's a digital, like, I don't think you do. I'm
No,
pretty
you
sure
don't.
because it's not a, yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe that's
It's
why.
physical production that's having tariffs on.
So maybe that's why, is because they've bumped up the price from what we've been experiencing because they anticipated this, not anticipating probably the 25%, 24% on Japan / 46% on Vietnam. Yeah.
I am shaking my head at this whole thing. This is the negative part. Do you want to go down that rabbit hole or do you want to continue?
Let's go ahead and we'll just continue for now, but we will hit that rabbit hole. Because
Okay.
Because I mean, do you want to tell people what your actual your actual degree is in, your major was?
My actual degree? You mean not waifu studies?
Yeah.
My undergrad, right? Just my undergrad, for anyone
Yeah.
who does not know, is economics. So I've studied this stuff.
Yeah.
My current degree is in Master of Business Administration. So,
Yeah.
like
My master's, I don't have one. I went to a scam college for a video game degree I never got. So I'll
Wait, you
trust
never
whatever
got
you
it?
say. Oh no, I found out that they weren't really accredited, and I quit.
What?
Yeah.
Lawsuit.
They're already under.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I am definitely well acquainted with business and such. That's why sometimes remember like Square Enix did that whole like end of the year thing in business restructure yada yada, and I did like a full business analysis on them. That's why, because that's my thing.
Yeah.
But yeah,
How
we can talk
so-
about tariffs later because I have
All right.
a lot to say.
Okay. All right.
But anyways, let's move on to something that you guys might not have known about, but maybe heard something in the grapevine. So I do want to talk about it so that we can demystify what this whole thing is.
Okay.
So in the Japanese Switch 2 presentation, there's an extra segment that the rest of the world didn't get.
Oh.
And that is they talked about a Japanese only system. Japanese language only, and supposed to be only used in Japan.
Okay.
Now, this system will be sold for 49, like let's say 50,000 yen. This is round up, like 50,000 yen, which is roughly like $343 or so. Okay, so
Okay.
like 343. And they will also have a multi-language system, and that would cost 69, well, more like
Nice.
70,000 yen, close to like $480. So
Okay.
almost like $140 difference, quite substantial,
Mhm.
right? Now, most of you will not care about this because this is only sold in Japan, and
Right.
the language is Japanese only. So unless you can read Japanese, and I don't know what other restriction there is in that system, by the way. It's just what I'm able to glean into is Japanese language. Like the language is the main
Sure.
thing. But effectively, it is like a region lock system. Now, for the people who live in Japan, that's basically all they ever use and need, and they don't care. Right. And this
Right.
is a system specifically, the SKU is designed for people who live in Japan.
Is this the start of those rumors that I've been hearing lately
What is?
about
We're going back
Nintendo
to
bringing back?
region lock?
Yes.
Well, okay. So I think this is where we need a little demystifying, right?
Yeah.
Because this is only intended again for the Japanese audience and no one else. And
So
the
this
reason
region locks
is-
Japanese people, not Americans, from accessing Japanese games.
No. You can
Okay.
you get the multi-language system. And also if you live in Japan, you can still buy the multi-language system. It just
Yeah.
costs like $140 more.
Okay.
So it's not like you don't have that option. You do. You just, well, here's the part that I think people should care about.
Okay.
And the first thing that you should care about is because just in case when the system comes out and you go to eBay because
Oh.
you couldn't buy one off of when you couldn't buy one off of Amazon or whatever, or Best Buy, and then you get desperate, you go onto eBay, and then someone
Sort by
from
lowest
Japan is
price.
like, "Oh, I'm selling you a Switch 2." And
Buy
they're
it
not
now, lowest
lying.
price.
It is a
Yep.
perfectly working Switch 2, and they sell it to you for like $480, $500, and you're like, I don't care, give it to me. It gets sent to your house, and then you look at it, it says Japanese language only, but you still don't know what that is because even the Japanese language only is written in Japanese on the box. So for all you know, oh, that's just a Switch 2. What do you mean? And then you plug it in, and you're like, all right, where's the language option? Wait a minute, where's the language option? Well, congratulations. You just bought yourself a Japanese language only system. So that's the part where you all have to be very careful.
Okay.
Please do not just randomly go
So-
online and get a Switch 2.
So all this discourse that I've been hearing about, oh, Nintendo is bringing back Japan or region locking, they're not locking Americans out of Japanese games. They're not locking
No.
us out of Play Asia games.
No.
They are locking Japanese people out of United States games. And they're
Mm,
essentially, well, I mean, they're kind with those systems. And they can get around that by buying the more expensive systems.
Well, I'll tell you what I think the intention is.
Okay.
The intention is that the Japanese yen is really, the Japanese economy is really weak.
Right.
Now, if they release this console, just the multi-language console,
And it's much
chances
cheaper.
are they're not going to play it in Japan, and they're just going to sell it, period. Everyone
Yeah.
who gets one is just going to sell it because they rather make that money,
Yeah.
right?
That makes sense.
Now, to avoid that and to give a discount to Japanese citizens, whom Nintendo is a Japanese company, so I'm
Mhm.
not mad at them,
No.
is that they give a much cheaper version that is very unlikely to be sold outside, a scalping kind of thing. So we'll sell it to you for like $140 less. But in return, you can only play Japanese game, which again, if you live in Japan and you're a Japanese person, the likelihood of you playing anything that isn't Japanese is low. So that's like the only catch is this system will cost you $140 less, substantially less. Truly.
Martino in the chat cracking me up here says, making my YouTube video, is Japanese Switch 2 racist?
Is Japanese Switch 2 racist? So
man.
I agree and disagree with the way that they handle it. I think they're underestimating just how much scalping happens. I think people are still gonna scalp the heck out of the system.
Mhm. Oh yeah.
They're still going to, because here's the thing: two things. Number one, East Asia, like where I'm from, Hong Kong, we're used to playing games in Japanese anyway.
Yeah.
And if I live in Hong Kong, you tell me that I can pay $140 less by buying a Japanese version only, guess what I'm gonna do? Forget the multi-language. I don't care. Just give me the Japanese version.
Is Baku-san JRPG gonna get the Nintendo the Japan
No, I
words
have to
are hard.
stream. I have
Japanese
to
only?
let
Oh,
I have to
but you could
stream.
but you could
people
just
need
play it
to-
all in Japanese.
No. I've tried that before. I tried streaming a full Japanese game, and it takes even longer because now I have to translate what's going on to people. And like, no, never happening again. But
Yeah.
so that's number one. Number two, they're assuming people in Japan won't try to sell this to the West anyway.
I don't think they care about that.
Well, no, I mean, it's like
Mhm.
the whole point is so that they would have like a healthy player base in
Yeah.
Japan. But I'm
and I
like-
think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
And
but I think they're gonna scalp it anyway. So
they will. Oh yeah, they're absolutely going to.
now
but-
the only way I can see this working,
But it will
is
help,
if-
I think.
Yeah, the only way I can see this working is if this system cannot accept any IP other than Japan IPs. Now that could, so like you won't be able to basically connect to the internet if you're outside Japan
Oh, I see.
in some shape or form.
Okay.
There are ways around
you're
it,
saying
however-
IP as an internet protocol, not intellectual property.
No, yeah. Internet
Okay.
protocol.
I was like,
Yeah.
what?
No. Yeah.
Nintendo Switch 2 isolationist version.
Imagine two different acronyms existing that are valid
Yeah.
for this conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. The most important thing again for all of you here watching right now is that you need to know that there is Japanese exclusive system. So June comes around, just remember what I told you. And if you got desperate, you go on eBay, just be careful.
Yeah.
They do have multi-language versions in Japan. But if a deal seems too good to be true and they're knocking down like $50 despite everything, that should be your red flag.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
If
it's exactly right. And
Yeah.
I will say, and well, maybe I'll save this part for our next conversation here.
Yeah.
So the Nintendo Switch was announced in the United States, Nintendo Direct, as being $449 for the base model,
Mhm.
and another 50 if you wanted to group in the Mario Kart title, which is a pretty good deal.
Yeah.
You save 30
Mhm.
bucks.
Yeah.
That's what it was announced for, and they were planning to start pre-orders on the 9th, which is what day is today? That would have been Wednesday. The same day as the Nintendo Direct came out. And here's the thing, they actually, during the Direct, they did not say the price. I suspect that the reason for that was they filmed this probably weeks in advance and were
Mhm.
waiting for the other shoe to drop as far as like this whole will they won't they tariff thing. And then they just were like, we ran out of time, so whatever, let's film it and then we'll just make the announcement afterward. So they did. They made the announcement with the prices afterwards. They said that pre-orders would go open on the 9th. Later that day, the current U.S. presidency, administration, whatever, announced, they call them reciprocal tariffs on several.
They're not.
I know. They call them reciprocal tariffs, and a lot of people take that at face value to mean they charge us tariffs, therefore we charge them tariffs. That is not actually the case. It's in fact based off of trade deficits, which is a whole kind of, it's disputed whether or not it's actually a valid indicator of like how
It's not.
free. I know, but I'm trying to be inclusive here. There's debate.
No,
Mostly on one
refuse
side.
to include people who are just wrong. And
There's
don't know what
debate
the
between
heck they're
people
talking
who
about.
know and people who don't know.
No, I refuse to. I absolutely refuse to be inclusive of people who are just misinformed. Like, you just don't know what
Hey,
you're talking about.
my ignorance is just as good as your degree, okay?
God.
So,
okay. I'll
go
touch
ahead,
a
here.
little bit on the trade deficit.
Go
part,
for it,
what
please.
it really means.
because
And
I
it's a
don't
very
know.
simple-
I'm an idiot, but
it's a very
I
simple
trust you.
formula. It's whatever my import is minus the export to your country over the export. That's it. Like that's
Okay.
it's the difference. It's the delta between,
So, question.
Yeah.
Question. Suppose that there was like a really wealthy country that imported a lot of things because they were really wealthy.
Yeah.
And they imported them from a country with let's say a population that's very poor generally in comparison. And they can't import as much from us because they're poor and because the things we make are expensive as hell because we have, standards of living that require like a minimum wage and also a lot of the things we produce in this hypothetical country, are niche products or otherwise very specialized. How is there any mechanism in this current situation that allows the poor country to not have like a huge tariff slapped on them because they can't afford to buy stuff from us?
Yes, there is, and that is if they just don't sell to the richer country, because then the richer country cannot import, so it balances out. But that's extremely disruptive to the people who live in the rich country because now they can't buy stuff for cheap.
So they would have
And-
to stop selling things, which is pretty hard to do when you're poor. They would have to
Exactly.
stop selling
So-
things to us in order to make sure that they only buy from us at the rate, or sell to us at the rate that they buy from us.
So it's a ratio, right? It's a fraction. It's a ratio. It's either they have two choices. Like the poor country have two choices to balance this out, right?
Mhm.
If they want to play ball, either they buy more things from the rich country, or they sell less things to the rich country. But
But
either
But I want to
yeah.
buy things from that country because they have my Switch.
Well, that's from the rich country perspective. From
Yes.
the poor country perspective, they can either sell less things or buy more things, or both, right?
But if they can't
But
buy more
they
things,
can't buy more things because they're poor. so they have to sell less to us, but that's their income. So they're going to get even more poor. So that's from the poor country perspective. Now, from the rich country perspective,
Mhm.
they can either buy less things from the poor country or sell more things. But you can't just unilaterally push more things onto them. They can't afford it. So that's a no-go. So the only thing you can do is buy less. But if you buy less, then who is suffering? Consumer, because now I have to pay more elsewhere.
Because I want my Switch. I want my Switch too.
And that is the very simple explanation of why
That's the
this doesn't
catch-22
work.
that has been introduced.
Like, there
is
you
it-
go. This is why it is a terrible metric to use as
Because
a,
because
you
it
know-
creates a catch-22. Can't buy
Yes.
stuff because they're poor. Can't be not poor because of the tariffs that are causing that are making them sell things for more than they want to sell them for,
it is-
without recouping
this-
any of the actual costs that go into that.
this
So
entire
America
thing
is
just-
so essentially America will be scalping itself in a lot of ways.
that's basically what's happening. Like, in gamer speak, like in ways that we're more familiar with. Yeah, we're essentially we're scalping ourselves, and that's crazy. It is. You're
Okay.
absolutely right. It's effectively what we're doing, and not with just one poor nation,
Mhm.
but many poor nations that we depend on their lower cost labor to subsidize our like level of living, right?
Yeah.
A standard of living. So prepare for your so now we have two choices in America, and I hate to be the bearer of bad news. Either A, you lower your standard of living voluntarily and thus spend less money. If you keep your current level of spending, you're going to get less. And when you get less, your standard of living drops, okay?
Okay.
Or you maintain your standard of living, but you're forced to pay more. One or the other. There's no alternative. You cannot maintain your standard of living.
It's the
and
rock in the
not
hard
pay more.
place.
Yeah. So choice is yours. You could just buy less and eat worse things and eat less and just enjoy less things because you don't have the cheap source to get it from anymore. And even
Okay.
if it was produced in America, it wouldn't
Well,
be that
let's
cheap,
think like an
right?
American.
So
Let's think like an American here. Does Vietnam have any oil?
that's a good question. Do
Sorry,
they? 'Cause
that's not a
we're
very
about
funny
to.
joke. It's
Yeah,
it's a
no,
bad idea. I think I've seen this one before.
From an American standpoint, yeah, it's like a do they? That would be news to me.
It'd be a shame if somebody had to bring them some freedom.
Yeah. Oh boy, do you need liberation?
Oh Jesus. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah. So okay, but back to the whole thing with just when it comes to the tariff and why it doesn't make any sense at all.
Okay,
Like,
yeah.
any sense.
Mhm.
And I did mention this. Do I think tariff is all 100% bad? No. And that's
No.
the difference between a person who knows the stuff and a person who doesn't know the stuff.
It is a tool. It is a tool.
It is a tool. It is like more like a surgeon scalper, like scalp. Like
Scalpel,
it is
yeah.
it is a precision tool. Okay. And not like a wrecking ball. And the thing about tariffs, in some things I would agree with, and it's like one very specific example I'll give you is protected industries. So what
Okay.
does that mean, right? So for example,
A
let's talk
protected
about
industry? Okay.
protected industries. Okay, for example, let's talk about agriculture. Okay, American agriculture is expensive because our wages are expensive relative to basically any country in the world. Our wage is higher than most countries in the world with this level of agricultural
Agricultural
production.
Yeah.
But it is protected because imagine this: if World War III happened tomorrow, okay, and we don't have an agricultural industry, people will starve if they just like block our trade routes, right?
Yeah.
And that's why this is a protected industry. In case any emergency, worldwide emergency happens, we have food, like basic food consumption for the population. That's a protected industry.
It's a protected industry because it is something that we require in the
It is
event of an
essential
emergency.
for life. Right?
But
So there
actually
are
essential,
things
not like a
that.
fast food worker was essential during
Yeah,
COVID.
no.
It's like
No.
it's like this is actually like an American imperative to be able to feed
Right.
itself in the worst case scenario.
And
So
that's why
therefore,
we give like the farming industry subsidies, because if we just let them compete with the international, like they will just bankrupt, like they cannot compete,
Mhm.
right? That much you understand. So
Yeah.
there are certain things that you can argue are necessities for life and, you know, you ought to be protected. Fine. But that's the same thing for everybody else. So if Germany, if France, if whatever country wants to protect their agriculture because they feel like they couldn't compete against other countries, they would do the same thing, the same reason we would do it.
Sure.
Right. So it's not like they don't get to have survival, but we do. So everyone use tariffs different ways.
Sure.
And do the US always get like the short end of the stick? Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. Right.
Mhm.
So
I mean, we're in a
again,
position of power, and we can
yeah,
often afford to take some hits that others can't, for like the
correct.
good of overall just, you know, having allies,
Yeah, like
right?
every country has like 200 different like, you know, items that you can put a tariff on.
Yeah.
Like it's not that simple.
And it's something that you like you
Um,
said, it's a scalpel. So you do it for like, oh, I produce a lot of wheat. That is something that we do in this state, like
yeah,
saying Kansas, right? So maybe we would put a tariff on wheat from Ukraine or something, like, because we want to make sure that ours is the cheapest option in order to reward our farmers, in order to make sure that they continue to be able to be farmers. Kind of.
right, exactly. Because
But
we
maybe
need
we cut them a
these
deal
farmers.
in the event of like Ukraine gets invaded or something. We're like, okay, well, you know what? Maybe we'll cut you guys a deal because we need an ally in that region, and therefore, you know, maybe
Mhm.
we'll reduce that. And so we multiply that out by a lot, you know, by everything that we might need to tariff in order to protect ourselves, and deals we might need to cut in order to have soft power throughout the rest of the world.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
so
there's an idea of like a constraint optimization
mhm,
problem in economics, and that's basically like what we're looking at, which is to say there are certain constraints, there are many different variables, and we're trying to optimize like for any given player in a game, and so that's the kind of math that we would look to. We would look at literally every single variable, right,
right.
between two countries. And that's a simple form of it, not including all the other players. If you want to include all the other players, it's even more crazy. But
So
certainly not what they did, which is just trade deficit and boom, there you
trade
go. Like,
deficit
no.
and apply it to like every country
Yeah,
except
no,
for some people.
no,
Right.
no. And they gave out this like formula, right? They release these formulas and it's all like, you know, Greek letters and stuff. And it looks very smart until
Hmm.
you translate what these Greek letters mean and realize that it's just fluff.
It's just
It literally is just what we just told you it is, which is just the trade deficit. It just looks very smart presented that way, but it's not. As soon as you turn these Greek letters into what they truly mean, you find out that it's just a trade
it's
deficit.
jargon basically. They're
It's jargon,
obfuscating
yeah.
it through they're trying to make
Yeah.
it seem more complicated by using jargon.
Yeah,
Um,
and mathematics and economics can be extremely difficult and precise.
sure.
That's not it.
And that's not something that you typically need to do if you have no reason to not, like, if you have no reason to be opaque about things, then you wouldn't do that. You would just say,
I
here's
would
how
say
we
so.
calculated it.
Yeah, because fluff is one of the first things to do to lie about things, right? If I use all these smart sounding things, then it sounds like I'm speaking from some level of authority and you wouldn't question it. And even if someone did question it, you can be like, "Oh, look at this, look at these formulas. Like, wow, how can you not believe this? This sounds so smart." They have some really smart people doing this stuff. I'm here to tell you that none of these things is smart. And you know what? It just again, when you're gonna tariff an island filled with penguins, you already know they didn't do any due diligence. So that's already like like you can't even be like, oh, that's just a mistake. Listen, we're sending tariffs to all the countries in the world. There is no room for error, and but clearly error is there even without all the jobs for everyone to see. Like, go
Yeah.
see it for yourself. Don't take my words for it. Just go see it for yourself. It's there, and you're just like, did anyone even double check this? The answer is no. No one even double checked this, and now stock is down like 10% in 2 days, and it is only down for 2 days because the
Because
stock
it's
market
been
was only
closed
open for 2 days.
exactly.
So,
Yeah. It's
okay.
gonna if they don't part of me wonders if this is part of an elaborate, stupid plan to drop the stock market as far as they can, buy a bunch of shit, buy a bunch of shit while it's on sale before reversing course.
So here's the thing that I want everyone to understand. When you are poor, you have a lower propensity to save. That is a fundamental understanding of economics. What that means is for every dollar you make, more percentage of that dollar goes into saving if you are rich. If you are poor, you have no choice but to live paycheck to paycheck. You don't have money to save. So
Yeah.
you will spend that money, right? If the stock drops like this, the only people who are benefiting are the richest people because they are still spending more or less the same, but they
Mm-hmm.
have so much money that went into saving. And when we say
Yep.
saving, we don't mean just like your piggy bank.
Yep.
It could be like investment, all kinds of ways that you're not immediately using that money for survival. That is saving. You're putting that money away to let
Yeah.
it grow. You have way higher percentage of that money that you're not using, and you're
Mm-hmm.
just putting it literally anywhere.
Yeah.
So
And
yes, they can just push the stock market to the lowest brink of the point and then just buy everything. They
yep.
absolutely can because they have a very low propensity to spend.
I
To
mean,
save.
Warren Buffett is sitting
Yeah.
on something like $100 billion right now. The investor Warren Buffett is sitting on $100 billion cash. Like,
So
this is probably just keep an eye out for when he starts buying, because that's how you know we'll probably be at the bottom.
I will say this conspiracy theory. I will say, like, just to be clear, that this is very much a conspiracy
Not financial
theory.
advice.
Yeah, not financial advice. However, it is based off of, good sound reasoning, anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Now, whether or not they're doing it on purpose, I don't know. But whether or not they can benefit from this, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Because you and I, the regular people, we spend a lot more of our income on things we need, like, groceries and mortgage and all those things by percentage.
Yep.
But if you were rich, you're spending maybe more money by dollar amount, but less by percentage.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. Because a dollar still buys a dollar burger.
Yeah.
When you make ludicrous amounts of money, it doesn't you don't have to spend a reciprocal amount of money to keep yourself full, unless you're really, really, really fat.
I'll just give this. I'll just give this quick
Yeah.
example. Like, I think people who are like near poverty, like, or maybe just above it, not the people who are very well off in this nation, they may be saving anywhere between 0 and 5%
Yeah.
of their income. Like if you're lucky, you can
Oh,
save
most
like
people,
5%.
most Americans have no money in savings. That
Well,
that's this very sad statistic,
no,
but it's
and
a
I
fact.
mean including like 401k and yada yada.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now, if you are wealthier, like like maybe like middle income, you're probably saving something like, I don't know, anywhere between 5 to 15%. Again, including your 401k, your IRA, everything.
Yep.
Including your employer matching, et
Yep.
cetera, et cetera. But that number like exponentially goes up the wealthier you get. The
Yep.
wealthiest, all the wealthier, like upper middle class, maybe saving something like 20 to 40% of
Mhm.
their income. And then it just exponential goes up there. That's what I mean by the propensity to save.
Yeah. Yep.
Not that you don't want to, is that you couldn't, you know?
Yeah. I know. Trust me. I know. I know. So, well,
I've gone nerd territory, but basically, yeah, just tariff bad for the most part.
Yeah.
Just the TLDR. Didn't hear my TED talk.
All right. Well, that I think about covers everything that we had planned to talk about today. But we do have some super chats and things that have come in throughout the day's show. So let's take a look at.
Wait, I'm surprised people actually sat around and listened to us.
I appreciate that. I mean, I think it's because
you guys.
it's real though. This is affecting. I mean, it's about to be much more real once everything starts hitting store shelves. But right now, it's another set of unprecedented times, and I think that a lot of people just want to know what's going on, or some people do know, and they just want to hear sanity on the airwaves, and I think that's why a lot of people are probably still here, because it's
appreciate it.
kind of harder to find these days.
For me to rant a little bit.
Yeah,
I've been.
So-
you know what? Ignorance is a bliss. I wish I didn't know things, but I do know it, unfortunately, and I can't just like not know it out of
I know.
convenience. Like it's rough.
You ever seen the movie Don't Look Up?
No.
Oh, you should.
Oh no.
It's I'll talk to you about it later. Eagle Knight says, "Good evening, HitPoint. My first thought on the Switch 2 is similar to the AVGN's first video. This price sucks."
Welcome to 2025, Ego Knight. It's about to get worse.
Yeah. Well, I will say that my anticipated price when I was watching this, when they announced 4K, when they announced 144 hertz, when they announced HDR, I'm like, cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. I mean, these things are value that they are bringing to the table, and I thought that $400 sounded like a sweet spot for the Switch 2. In the chat, there was in the Discord, Lazus was saying that he was thinking closer to like 500 because we had just watched the Switch presentation, so we were chatting about it. And then the thing came out and it's like 450. It's like, oh,
hey,
well,
right
split the
middle.
difference. That's about right. Now I think that there is some room for people to be miffed that things are more expensive. Like the pack in game isn't a pack in, that's, I mean, it feels like it should be a pack in. It's like if Sony made us buy Astrobot for the PlayStation 5 instead of just letting it be like a demo for the PS5, like that would have been a losing move. And that's what it feels like here. And so it's just one of those, one more thing. It's just one more thing that Nintendo did to make it feel unintentionally, and in some cases probably beyond their power, like they were nickeling and diming us all the way, every step of the way. And that sucks. That sucks. Some people said that they don't even mind the price of the Switch, but it's the price hike of the games that sucks. But you know me, for the last 2 years, I've been talking about how, I mean, video games were $60 in 2005, man. That's 20 years. Inflation's a bitch. And it's
just inflation. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's this doesn't even catch up to where things were in 2005 as far as like
Mhm.
game prices go.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe at $80 it does, but then if we go even further back in time to compare to like the 90s, like Chrono Trigger was like $90 in 95 money, and
Games were expensive.
that
back
would be like
then.
$200 today. Like it's crazy. So with I mean, and I've said this before, with the way that AAA is going, the number of individuals involved in creating some of these games, whether or not you agree that that's how they should be made, is irrelevant. That's just how it is at this point. I would much prefer AA games, of course, in a lot of cases, but those hundreds of people who are making these AAA games, they gotta be fed, and those people, they gotta eat, and their grocery prices are also going up at the same rate that yours and mine is. So when people say this game shouldn't cost more, I say don't get mad that game developers are getting a raise. Get mad that you haven't, that I haven't. Like this is a problem. Like wages have not kept up with inflation. And that's
wages
the
have
problem.
absolutely not kept it with
No.
It's
Wages
terrible.
in general have stagnated like crazy. And it's not Nintendo that's, robbing you at this moment. It's your boss.
It's
Sorry.
a lot of thing. Like I've gotten into a bit of a disagreement with people in the
Mhm.
past, of course, but how much goes into making a game, what percentage of that contributes to the increase in these game prices is really hard to say.
Mhm.
But what I do know is that there are certain increases in, say, for example, individual game developers like compensation going up, is things that we typically would celebrate.
Yeah.
So it's not all bad. Now, of course, there are like corporate greeds and yada
Sure.
yada, but
And
until you show me
there
that,
absolutely is corporate greed, and that is a problem. Yeah,
yeah, until you show
100%.
me the number, like I can't even tell you what percentage is what.
Yeah.
Like it's just whatever we want to believe. Of course, we want to believe is mostly corporate greed and very little goes to the actual developer, and it might be true
In
it's
some
just
cases,
yeah.
there's definitely, and I
Yeah.
feel like a company should be greedy in some cases. I'm greedy. When I go apply for a job, someone says, "I'll pay you 15 an hour." Sorry guys, I make a bit more than 15 an hour right now. I'm not going to take the job. I'm
Right.
not going to take a job that pays me less than what I know that I'm worth and what I can get in a fair market. You would do the same. Like if you had like an opportunity to have a job that paid $60,000 a year or a job that paid $30,000 a year, you're probably going to take the $60,000 a year rate.
Yeah.
Now,
So,
a
but
corporation that
before
sells
people
things
are
has they have some like flexibility in like picking that, but also it's a lot to do with what the market will bear.
right.
Now, what were you going to say?
I was gonna say before folks think we're just like pro corporate and we're like talking heads, like just know that I'm not saying corporates are absolutely right in that they have all the rights and raise prices. I'm just saying we don't know. It's a lot of speculation. We
Mhm.
don't know why the prices are going up.
In some
It
cases,
could,
we do. Corporations who
we're
have to
bits and
report.
pieces, I think. Like we're bits and pieces. We have good
Yeah.
hypothesis, but we don't have the whole picture, and it's just really hard to pin it on a thing
Yeah.
without understanding what math goes
Like-
into it.
Like public corporations do have reports that go out that like show how much profit they made. But that doesn't always necessarily show you like, is their profit percentage wise, like, yeah, we know that they've had record profits,
Mhm.
but is that like a percentage wise, or is it just because their profits are keeping up with inflation? Like,
Yeah, there's
because
that.
if it just kept up with inflation, they'd still have record profits, right?
Yeah.
But if you increase, your scalping of people, if you continue strip mining the people of all of their, money, then yeah, you're also going to have, but there's there's a spectrum of of possibility, like levels of greed that could be at play here. And yeah, like greed is not good. Everybody has a bit of it, I think. I think that's why, to a small degree, like we're all like, we want to have more money so we can do more things and eat better food and live in better places. Like that's kind of a greed, but it's also just like trying to survive.
Yeah,
So
it's hard to. It's
greed
hard
is a
to
matter of
say.
perspective in a lot of ways, right?
Yeah.
Because like, but there is absolutely just to the nth degree where it can just be a problem.
Yeah, it's not a simple thing, but wherever there is actual corporate greed, we would want to speak against it. Like if we know certain developers in certain company, EA, are just like being mistreated, being
Yeah.
fired, let go, even
Point
though they
is,
did a great job. Like
Yeah.
obviously,
I'm
you
just
go
not
after the company.
convinced. I'm just not convinced that Nintendo is the bad guy here. It's
I don't think they are. I honestly don't. Especially again, since
and
we
then
talked about the
Nintendo,
price
they're
hike.
not our friends. Like
Yeah.
I don't know anybody at Nintendo, but really,
Neither
like
do I.
corporations are not your friend. But even so, like there are people there, and they don't. I don't know. They don't strike me as being particularly greedy at this time, but I could be wrong.
Yeah. Well, you win some, you lose some. Like, the fact that you can use any camera on the system, great. The fact that all the Switch 1 controllers still work to most functional capacity, great.
The fact that
Some
it's
things,
backwards compatible with 99% of their games, pretty
great.
dang great.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that they're doing that's very pro-consumer. And, rather than picking at every little thing that might even seem a little off, like I just encourage us to sort of balance the view a little bit. Like what are things that are very pro-consumer and what are things that we feel like are half and half, and what are things that like we don't feel like it's the right move. Like we ought to distinguish what they are, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
Okay.
That was a tangent, but we have another super chat here. Two more actually from Still Alive. So we got a part 1 and a part 2.
Hey, he's still alive.
Yeah. Still Alive says, just giving my opinion / prediction on physical games. I think that we are far off from the major console makers going full digital. They definitely want to go that route, but, and here's part 2. But as long as people en masse still want physical, then I believe it's here to stay. I think they're looking for an opening to go all digital without getting too much pushback. What do you think?
Yeah, and quite frankly, I feel like this whole like game key card is like a step towards that, right? To
You think
sort of,
they're
like
it's
weighing you off,
turning up the heat just a little bit on the
Yeah.
boiling pot with the frog in it?
Yeah, and instead of
Mhm.
having physical copy, we'll just have physical game card. You still have something for you to hold on to, and then the server shuts down, and then that's when they put the lid over, right? And you're boiling in the pot of water.
Could be.
A little bit of conspiracy theory again. Like I don't know what they're
It's not
doing, but could
conspiracy
they
if
do
it's
it?
not illegal.
Yeah, jeez. I mean, could they do it? Absolutely. Yeah, but I still, regardless of this though, I would still stand by what I said about the game key card, which is I just don't think it's a good move. Like
Yeah.
9 out of 10 times you
Correct.
should just get the physical.
I think I've made my stance pretty clear on how I think that it could be used in it could be used in exclusively pro-consumer ways that I would appreciate. But we're already seeing that they're being used in ways that are not pro-consumer, and I hate that.
Yeah. So the sign's already there. The conspiracy theory part is to what extent are they going?
But so far, it's also been done by Square Enix and not Nintendo. So
Yeah,
we can be
Square
pissed at
Enix.
Square Enix again.
Oh yeah, every day. It's a blue moon if you find me just like praising Square Enix. This is why they never sponsor me. Like Atlas sponsors, but like Square Enix is like, nah, I don't know about you, man.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
So then that was all the super chats. Now we do have some previous podcast comments from previous
Oh,
podcasts.
yes. I forgot about those. That's right. You gathered those when I wasn't looking.
Yes, I did. Let me start off from Lowest Expectations, who wrote, once Baku starts streaming Trails from Zero, I dare him to stream it on Nightmare mode like I did. It made for hilarious content. Haha. Thank you so much for writing. Haha. That's how I read it. Thank you so much for writing to us, Low Expectations. And the answer is no, I'm totally not going to do Nightmare Mode. You're crazy. Yeah, entertaining for people, not hilarious to me. No, actually, I'll say this. I like playing games on normal mode only because I like having a benchmark of what the developer had considered normal.
I agree.
And to which I use that as benchmark for everything else. Like, was this game easy? Was this game hard relatively? Because you have to have a benchmark somewhere. And if my benchmark is nightmare or hard or easy mode on the opposite, then it would be a lot more inconsistent. So yeah, that's just me as like a game like reviewer, if you will. Like, I like to be consistent.
Yeah.
Sometimes I will dial up the difficulty because it just got so easy to the point that it's ridiculous, but I don't think I'm gonna have that problem with
like,
Trails.
You've played through the East series on Nightmare mode, right?
I have not.
No? Okay.
I've seen people done it. I don't want to because, well, okay. The last East game I played, it wouldn't let me turn up the difficulty, so that's not my fault. Yeah, you're stuck on normal and easy on East Salsetta for some reason.
Weird.
You cannot go hard mode.
You can only play on normal and easy?
Yeah, you can only turn it. So at that point, well, I started as normal, so I can only turn down and not up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So sometimes it's not my fault. It's just that's not even an option. Now maybe I can go back in the beginning of the game and choose hard mode to begin with, and then not like change it mid game. But I'm not dumping my entire save just to start all over again. Okay, like that's the other thing. The second part of why I wouldn't do it is because I don't have time. Like I have like 90 games to go through and like 10 games amount of time.
RPGs are, I feel like when you increase the difficulty, like from standard, like two things, like from hard to nightmare, for instance, you're, I don't know. At a certain point, I feel like I'm not even having fun anymore. It's like just turning up the frustration level. You know, enemies become hit point sponges, but you don't really change your tactics. It's just you play it longer and try not to die.
Final Fantasy does that, right? With the super bosses, it's like it's not hard, but you have to fight the super boss for 12 hours, and it becomes like a physical torture. Like, I want to use the bathroom right now. Like, I want to get out of this freaking thing. What is it? Final Fantasy 12. I want to say 12. They had like a super boss that literally takes like 10 hours to beat.
Oh,
it was
gross.
just a marathon of chipping its health. Like, that's, I guess you can say that is hard in a way, but certainly not one that I necessarily appreciate.
Yeah. I mean, Octopath Traveler had a well, I won't spoil anything, but there was a very difficult fight to be found within the game somewhere. And it was very difficult. And it took me a couple of hours, I think, to finish it. And that did involve, you know, really pushing me to my limits and the, you know, finding new strategies and things that had previously not been necessary. So there is a certain point where like certain well-crafted bosses can really be fun, but usually that's not what they do. Usually they just turn up the HP and damage meters, and that's it.
That's the exception, not the rule, because that would be the hard part, right? The easy way to increase difficulty is, like you said, just dial up the numbers, and here you go. See if you can do it, right?
Yeah, usually. Okay, next up, we got another one here from Joshua Castillo, who says, the Pac Man game is going to be a Pac and Slash game. I love the pun.
I hate every part of this, but I did include that, so maybe I don't hate it that much.
I mean, do you suppose I'm getting through to Baku, guys? I mean,
Nope, I rolled my eye. You can go back.
I saw you kind of didn't react to my EC mode comment earlier, but
rolled my eyes and moved on. Like, nope.
Earlier today, I asked Baku what he thought about my terrific idea.
Oh my god!
For the title of the show, but
he
never responded.
No, I thought I gave you like a thumb up or something.
I don't know. Anyways, next up, Freddie Ken, friend of the show, says, I personally won't be using virtual game card system much because I love the physical cartridges more and will continue to buy them. But I think I'm actually in the minority now because more and more people would rather buy digitally, and that there are now get.
But there's now a feature.
Oh, okay. But there's now a feature to lend the games to my family members is great. Generally, I think that how they design the system is actually pretty great and intuitive, especially for that the tech savvy people.
Not so tech savvy people.
Oh, okay. Not so tech savvy people. There we go. Yeah. So, I mean, they did do a pretty good job of talking about what the implications are of that digital game card system, being able to lend out digital games between family members. This is last week what we're talking about. This was the Switch feature. And I didn't think I caught this the first time watching through, but it sounds like this is a feature that you opt in to the game card system. And I think I missed that detail.
No,
so,
this one's different. The virtual game card and the game card key is different.
No. Freddie's not talking about the game card key.
Yeah, he's talking about the virtual game.
Correct. And that's what I'm saying. This is an opt-in system where you turn on the setting from within your Switch.
Mm-hmm.
Because before I was concerned that this was going to end up restricting people from being able to do certain things like download the game, go into offline mode, play it, log into their other system, download the game there, and play it on that system. So you have two systems simultaneously running the same game, which some people do. We actually got some comments last week from somebody who said that they do that, and that they do that so that their kids can both play at the same time.
Yeah.
But I was afraid that this was going to be something that would prevent you from being able to do such a thing. Turns out this is something that they specifically said you have to turn on. So apparently it's an optional thing. So
yeah,
cool.
I also feel like I am in the minority. I feel like most people honestly don't care if they get it digital now. Like, more people don't mind that they're getting it digital, and all the merrier if the digital version also happens to be cheaper, So
there is one strong case to be made for a digital only future for Nintendo Switch 2 though, and that is that the original case designs were so ugly with the whole red spine and everything, and it just looked so bad, and extra text taking up like 3/4 of the whole dang cover. It looks like I was gonna say there's a Japanese cover that I've seen, and I don't know if this is going to be applied elsewhere, but they have now the colorful spines that are different, and I hope that we get those, because this behind me, that I hate it.
I see a wall of red. I'm like, that's Nintendo.
It is, and I hate it. I don't want to advertise them every time that I make a video, but I mean, it's there. Yeah. But then again, I guess I have a whole bunch of PlayStation 2, and you can still tell that they're PS2 games over here, obviously. But
they have to maintain the RGB balance,
Oh, I don't maintain an RGB. There is no G. What are you talking about?
Xbox. What? It's green.
Yeah, I don't have
not
any.
Not in your setup. I mean, like they have to have their own color. They have to rep the color. It's like a gang situation.
Man,
Nintendo's repping red.
Sony must be so
Sony's
glad.
repping blue.
Sony must be so glad that Sega dropped out. Because before they were the gray.
Sega be? Oh,
But
before
they were
the
blue.
green?
They were originally blue,
Oh, you're right. They were blue.
and then Sony was like kind of red, blue, and yellow, and
blue.
they, they just co-opted blue once Sega dropped out.
I think Sony 2, they were kind of like a purple kind of thing, and
Yep.
then as soon as like PS3 was like blue, called
Yep.
it blue.
Dibs.
Dibs.
Exactly.
You got to take the primary color if you want to be the primary player. Just
All right. Well, hey guys,
branding.
I will also mention real quick, since we're on the topic of responding to some comments that we got from last week, you could also leave us a voicemail if you'd like. You can do so at 785-337-3805, and we'll play it on the air. You could also just email us at hitpoint@superderekRPGs.com, and that would also work and wouldn't even involve a phone line or talking to a voicemail.
Voicemail in so long.
It has been a minute, but I also haven't really been pimping out that number very much lately. So, go give that voicemail some love.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, I hope that you've enjoyed today's episode. I know we really went off in some different directions, covered the whole spectrum of hype to nipe. I don't know what you call that. But I hope it wasn't too much to suffer through. Thank you so much for your hanging out. If you enjoyed this podcast, give it a thumbs up or like it on. I think Amy went to bed. She turned off my lights. Give it a like on whatever platform you are interested in.
I'll join you.
I feel like I'm being played off by my wife here. So.
I'll join you, Derek. Yeah, with lights off now.
All right, guys. Welcome to HitPoint After Dark. This is where we get to say things like and okay. All right. Have a good rest of your night, everybody. Where's the button? Here it is.